up, guys? What's going on, YouTube? We are here for another day of Fox 5 Live. It's Friday, the 30th of June, already the end of June. Thanks so much for joining us today on our stream. We are going to be covering live news going around everywhere in DC, nationally, internationally, everywhere. But you can see right now I'm full in my digital newsroom today with a bunch of interns helping me out. We got Ryan, Amber, Emily in the back. You guys can see. Let's change the camera angle there. So everybody's saying hey and helping me out today to kind of get a feel for the digital room today. But first up, we're actually going to bring you over to the White House where President Trump is about to make a joint statement with the South Korean president, Moon Jae-in. Just moments ago, they met in the White House for a quick media availability. So I'm going to bring you that video before we jump on over to this feed. This is a live look in the Rose Garden, it looks like, outside the back of the White House, where we see a lot of these joint statements. Sometimes they're inside in the Roosevelt Room or in other areas of the White House. We've seen a few this year, of course, as President Trump is meeting the leaders of many of our foreign nations here in DC. So for now, we're going to cut it back into the newsroom here, and I'm going to show you a clip of what it looked like when they met just moments ago, and then we're going to go over to the White House again and kind of jump around, keep it kind of fresh and local, and also not local for whatever news is breaking, whatever trending topics and videos are kind of popping in today's news. So let's go to this video first of President Trump meeting the president of South Korea just moments ago. Check it out.
Together and enabling.
It's actually a very friendly press. Don't let that get you. Although we just lost the table. I want to thank the president of South Korea, President Moon, for being here. We had a great afternoon yesterday. We had a fantastic dinner at the White House, accomplished a lot having to do with our thoughts on North Korea and very much our thoughts on trade. We are renegotiating a trade deal right now as we speak with South Korea, and hopefully it will be an equitable deal. It'll be a fair deal to both parties. It's been a rough deal for the United States, but I think that it will be much different, and it'll be good for both parties. So we're in the process of doing that. We're also in the process of discussing our, frankly, many options, and we have many options with respect to North Korea. Thank you very much. President? Yes. The president will speak.
트럼프 대통령님의 초청과 답답한 환대에 다시 한번 감사드립니다.
I would like to thank President Trump once again for inviting me to the White House and for his warm welcome.
트럼프 대통령께서는 제가 지난달에 대통령에 당선되자 외국 정상들 가운데 가장 먼저 축하 전화를 주셨습니다.
When I won the election last month, President Trump was the first among all foreign leaders to call me to congratulate me.
한미 동맹이 굳건하다는 것에 대한 확인이면서 동시에 어려움을 겪고 있는 우리 한국 국민들에 대한 따뜻한 격려였다고 생각합니다.
I believe that was to reconfirm the strength of the Korea-U.S. alliance and also President Trump's warm message to the Korean people who had been suffering through political turmoil.
어젯밤 만찬에서 트럼프 대통령과 저는 북핵 문제를 비롯해서 한미 양국이 가지고 있는 다양한 변화에 대해서 폭넓고 격이 없는 대화를 나누었습니다.
Last night at the dinner with President Trump, we discussed various issues through diverse scope and very honest discussions on issues to include the North Korean nuclear issue and other issues of mutual interest.
두 정상 간의 신뢰와 우정을 그렇게 더욱더 붙일 수 있는 아주 좋은 계기였습니다.
It was a great opportunity for us to further the trust and friendship between me and President Trump.
또한 미국과 한국이 위대한 동맹을 위하여 같은 길을 걸어가고 있다라는 것을 다시 한번 확인하는 자리였습니다.
It was also an opportunity for us to reconfirm the fact that the United States and Korea are walking together on the same path towards a great alliance.
오늘 단독 회담과 확대 회담을 통해서 우리 만남이 더 의미 있는 좋은 계실로 그렇게 맺어지기를 바랍니다.
So I hope that through this summit meeting today, I hope that our relationship can further develop into a more meaningful and fruitful relationship.
감사합니다.
Thank you very much.
What many people don't know is that South Korea is a major trading partner with the United States, and we want something that's going to be good for the American worker. And I think we'll be able to do that today, and I think we'll be able to do many other things. So the relationship is very, very strong. And our personal relationship with President Moon, our personal relationship is very, very good. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
That is like that.
Come on. We're going out that door. Over there, please.
All right, guys. So that was footage of earlier in the White House where President Trump met with President of South Korea. A few words from them there for the press. And now in the right-hand corner of your screen, you're actually seeing a live shot of where they will be giving a joint statement in just a few moments coming from the White House. So this will be interesting to see, especially coming on the heels of all the talks about North Korea. We had the whole story about Otto Warmbier, the college kid who was transported back in a coma after visiting North Korea on an adventure tourist kind of group, and then the whole drama behind that when he stole a propaganda sign and then was later treated sort of unbeknownst to anyone. We don't know really how he was treated by the North Korean government and then sent back in a coma, later died. That made major news this week. And President Trump, of course, condemning the acts of North Korea, now meeting with the South Korean president, talking about how they are both on the same side of condemning some of the atrocities in North Korea. So we'll see if kind of some of that comes out as well. But once again, guys, I'm joined in the newsroom with some of my intern buddies here, Ryan, Amber, and Emily today to help me out. And let me know, guys, where you're watching from. I'm curious to see if anybody is joining our stream and where you're from. Seeing already Graham McDonald, thanks for visiting. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us. Yeah, we're going to go right over to the White House when that starts up. But first, guys, take a look at this viral video. I'm going to totally change gears for you and bring you just a trending video that came out overnight. Check this one out. Here we go. A dog interrupting an orchestra. Guess where this was, guys? In Turkey, actually. Okay, too cute, guys. So that was a viral video that came out overnight. At least we got, I think it was from actually about 10 days ago, but it was in Ephesus, Turkey. That was the Vienna Chamber Orchestra as a dog wandered on stage and got large cheers from the crowd. So I thought that was cute.
I just have so many questions. I hope, apparently, if what I heard was correct, it's a stray dog.
I didn't actually read that. I don't know. It possibly could have been.
I saw on a magazine that or online article saying that it was a stray dog, and I hope it is so that way they can adopt it because I'm really tempted for someone to name it like Bach or Beethoven.
Totally, it's super cute. I actually found the details. They were playing they were performing Mendelssohn's Italian Symphony in Turkey. And just a super cute little video that came out there. The dog wandered on, and they kept playing, and it was the cutest moment in classical music, is what they're saying. So, it was a fun little video to share. Emily, did you like it?
I did. I thought it was really cute. But also, how did it get in there? Although it looks like it's like outside, I guess.
Yeah, we'll bring you back to that, what it looks like there. We're repeating it here. See if that'll play out. There we go. Yeah, I don't know. Or it was part of the, it was, I don't know. It might have been stray. It kind of looks like it could have been.
Maybe.
Kind of cute.
I don't think he has a collar. Well, we gotta see him close.
Yeah, well. Anyway, guys, Graham, thanks so much for watching. Good to have you on this stream here, guys. We are bringing you live news and anything breaking that's coming out of our live feeds here as we get more sources in for what's going on, happening in the world today. So thanks so much for saying that we're your favorite local news program. We're going to go down, actually, to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We're hearing right now that we're just getting in a news source. Officers, or actually the DA, rather, will be talking about officers shot last year. So not the happiest of topics, of course, but we've seen this a lot in the news as well. Police officers being shot and sort of the fallout from that and reports on combating that. So let's go down to Baton Rouge and see what we got here.
Moved or sees that there are too many people, and then you'll see him either in this one or another one. He goes back behind Benny's and he eventually runs into a fence that he obviously didn't know was there, and you'll see him make his way up. So that's the route that he took. Here he is. He's leaving his vehicle. You can see the dress that he has. This camera is actually improperly focused on that piece of wood. Therefore, you'll see that, that this is somewhat blurry. It'll be blurry throughout. And here they all three are going where they last learned of him to be. This is him now coming around the back side of the car wash. He runs into civilians, and sometimes you maybe see, I don't know if his hand is somewhat slightly raised or just because of the way he was walking. But look at, you can see the size of the Tavor weapon that he has. It's a very large, high quality weapon. I don't know there back whether that's a wave or that's just the way that he walks, but he does for sure wave when he gets to Officer Gerald's vehicle, as if to say I'm with them, or it's okay, or it's just a wave. I'm not sure. He steps it up. He's looking around to his back from time to time, as the officers properly did. And this is the fence that he runs into. He knows they're now over there. Here's Officer Gerald's unit, is where he actually does the wave. Now, you see the officers, they have no idea where the gunman is. They look, Officer Gerald and Montrell look on the other side of this fence, then they eventually see no one there, and they're cutting the pie, so to speak, and then now they're focused on going around the side of the hair crown. And you see Garofalo is leading, he's up front, and the two Baton Rouge police officers are behind. You see Officer Gerald looking back to make sure that no one is behind him, as he should. I believe the officers have handled the situation as they were trained, as anyone else could have handled this situation. Now, Garofalo starts to peek around the backside. He sees there's a trash bin there, not sure whether the suspect is hiding there. And here he is, doing what he's supposed to do. And there's officer, two Baton Rouge police officers. At this point, it appears as if things are clear. And I would assume that the officers may breathe somewhat of a sigh of relief at this point, although obviously I do not know. Now Gavin is stepping it up. He's moving around the front of the building, again looking behind him to make sure there's no other officers coming. And he'll eventually come. He's going to use the shade in the corner of the building, now presumably knowing or suspecting that he has at least three, and you see he takes aim at this point at Gerald and Jackson because he cannot see Garofalo at this point. And you see how he aims and tactically how he moves. At this point, there are the videos and the photographs we're able to take at this point are unfortunately very good quality, good in the sense of quality only. but what's depicted obviously is two officers who are ambushed and killed. It's hard to watch that over and over. I've seen that 100 times, but it's still difficult to watch. And so at this point, out of respect for these officers and their family and their children, we have protected that and will continue to protect that. But they are actually both fatally wounded at this point. Now, this is Long, again, after the two officers are dead. Again, doesn't know where Garofalo is, but Chad Montgomery of the Baton Rouge Police is coming, driving in, and you see the stance that Long takes. And Long now draws down on Montgomery, fires 2 shots toward Montgomery. And this is from the dash cam in Officer Montgomery's car. You can actually see Long shooting at his direction. He eventually takes out the dash cam after this, so it's of no more value then. And when you see the picture, you see the hole in the windshield. He aimed directly for the officer, obviously. And Long now is moving forward. Now, Garofalo has now heard all of the other shots. He's then now heard the shots toward Chad Montgomery. Now he knows that someone is potentially still there, obviously still there. He takes cover. But at this point, blocked from your view, Officer Gerald is directly in front of Deputy Garofalo. And Deputy Garofalo is not only running toward fire, but he's also running to assist Officer Gerald, who is down on the ground. Again, Long is cutting the pie, so to speak, and getting in a position where he can do the most damage. And you see the position that he takes. When you see the video, Long moves in and out. He continues to move his body and his step as he continues to fire at Officer Garofalo. At this point, Deputy Garofalo is shot and killed. He put up a heck of a fight. Again, difficult to watch and just describe, but just to see a man come to the aid of another who didn't work with, probably didn't know, but just come to his aid and do everything that he could do. It was a really heroic part on his behalf. So now the officers are all down and they're all dead. In fact, after Long shot Garofalo, you could see him. He makes a different move. He shoots Officer Gerald, who's down, I assume, presumably, to make sure that he was down, but he shoots at him 2 more times. After he does that, he then runs toward the back of the hair crown, toward Carol and Sue, where he will stop by the air conditioning unit. He reloads his vehicle there. Then he sees the 2 uniformed officers that come to Airline Highway to set up the perimeter, and they fire at each other here. And he is in a tactical position as well at this point. So now, after he fires at the officers on Airline, this is the route that he takes to go back to his vehicle. This is actually the only route he could take because of buildings and fences that would have been in the way. So at this point, Deputy Touye and Bruce Simmons, who were not far down the road from the street, they hear the radio transmission from Garofalo, which you will hear. You also have to remember that the Baton Rouge Police and the Sheriff's Office have different radios, so they're not actually hearing each other say the same thing. And at this point, however, they were alerted. They dropped wherever they were, immediately went toward this scene. They have, again, no idea actually what's happening other than shots are fired, people are down. They don't know where anyone is at this point. And Deputy Touye pulls in and he actually sees this vehicle, and he's doing what he is trained to do, look at this vehicle. It seems to be out of place, and he's going to go take a look at this vehicle, and you'll see he pulls behind him. He inspects the vehicle, and presumably now is going back to his unit to run the license plate and find out more about this vehicle as things are unfolding. Then you'll see right behind him, Sergeant Bruce Simmons pulls in. At this point, unknown to both of these deputies, again, no one really knows where the shooter is. The shooter is now in the covered woods behind the Fitness Expo. You could not see him. He was completely covered by where he was. And when he opens fire, and you see the arrow where he is, when he opens fire at Deputy Touye and Sergeant Simmons, they couldn't see him. No chance they could see him by any means that they would have taken. And he hits Touye as he goes back to his unit. And you'll see him come out of the woods eventually. There he is as he steps out. The shooting of the two deputies has already taken place, took place in the woods. You will learn later that only 5 shell casings from Long were found on the concrete area here. And that's because he was shooting in the woods, and those shell casings were just difficult to find. The shell casings that remain on the concrete are those that you'll eventually see he fired at the SRT officers at the sign. At this point, these officers are both injured, and this is where Long starts to engage the SRT. Very fortunate that SRT was right down the street at Baton Rouge headquarters. This was the last day that they were going to be on high alert. They got there within a matter of minutes, and these guys did a phenomenal job of really quelching a situation that was obviously extremely dangerous, and more lives would have been lost. So this is Long is shot in the leg. This takes him down. Presumably, he could not get up and run again. However, he falls back toward the woods. His hands are above his head, and the gun is right above his head, as described in the narrative earlier. He lunges for his weapon again. You see his head is raising. He's shot again. And here the SRT officers arrive and have arrived already and are firing toward Long as he reaches for his rifle. And the other officers, you can see, they're trying to get Deputy Touye out of his unit to a waiting unit to take to an ambulance, and also taking care of Long, who continues to appear to them to be a threat to reach for a weapon. Again, at this point,
hi guys, checking in with you from the digital newsroom here at Fox 5 Live. Looks like the president is just about to come out here, and you can see in the right-hand corner of your screen, we were just kind of filling the time with this DA presser down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, about police officers shot last year, and we've been hearing a lot about that in the news, so just kind of wanted to get thanks so much for the details on that for you guys. But looks like things are starting up. There's what looks like Jared Kushner and a couple others coming out in the Rose Garden of the White House. President Trump is making a joint statement with South Korean President Moon, so we'll be hearing from them together. And this is slated to have started already, so we'll see kind of when this comes down. So stay with us, guys. This is coming up next on our feed here with Fox 5 Live. We'll check into the Rose Garden and see this joint statement. We've seen a few of those this year with President Trump and foreign leaders, also from the Roosevelt Room and whatnot. And usually we send a reporter to this. I don't believe anyone is there right now from Fox 5, but we're going to watch it live and take it in for you guys to see. So thanks again for joining, and feel free to chat with us on the live chat. We want to hear what you have to say, any questions or comments, and we'll be here watching along with you. So let's go back to this double shot, and then we'll take you live full screen here at the White House in the Rose Garden.
Make copies of that letter, and it appears that she had a difficult time making copies of the letter with the machine. Maybe it was too light. I think he wanted them on front and back. She had no idea what the letter was that she was copying, other than said family and friends. She didn't read any further. And at some point, it appears as if possibly the letter was not dark enough in his handwriting to copy, and he may have, he wasn't pleased with the copy he had. He sits at the table and looks like he's writing either a letter or writing over the letter that he has. Again, I can't be 100% certain, but you see him leave, and it's right around 8 o'clock, and recall everything begins at around 8:30. So there's 30 minutes in there that are somewhat unaccounted for. Was he mailing a letter? Was he doing something? Did he go to police headquarters? Was he looking, searching for officers? Obviously, he was. Where did he actually go? Don't know, but you know from the video that he at least went down Airline Highway past Benny's in the direction of the Baton Rouge Police Headquarters, and potentially found nothing or found it secure, and then was on the way back.
In New York, it's Roberts. Do you need me standing up?
All right, guys. So because that feed switched on us, they actually took us up to New York City for a press conference on 4th of July safety with Mayor Bill de Blasio. I'm going to bring you that later so you can check in there with what New York City is doing to prep for the holiday weekend. Taking this now full screen. Check it out. We just saw Vice President Pence come in to what is about to be this joint statement with President Trump and President Moon, South Korea. Now, Vice President Pence earlier was at the Korean Veterans Memorial paying his respects in a little event there. We're going to bring you that video as well later on today, but let's check in here as I believe this event is about to start.
It doesn't do us any good that he goes on. And we're going to take it. We go in there, you know, they have nowhere to go, so they have to go here, right? Tomorrow will be fun. So we're all the same. Well, I had to buy a lucky friend.
This is the 2-minute warning.
I accept your challenge.
All right, guys, looks like we just got the 2-minute warning, and here comes President Trump himself, so it's starting a little earlier than expected. Should be going on here in a second. Enjoy, guys.
Thank you very much. Melania and I are honored to welcome President Moon of South Korea and his lovely wife, Madam Kim, to the White House. Mr. President, let me be the first to congratulate you on your election, tremendous election victory, and also the people of South Korea for providing such an incredible example of democracy for the world to see. It was very exciting, I must say, and congratulations. This morning, President Moon and Vice President Pence laid a wreath at the Korean War Veterans Memorial to commemorate the 67th anniversary of the Korean War. It's a beautiful ceremony. We will never forget that Americans and Koreans bravely fought and died together for a free Korea. To the Korean and American veterans of that war, great people, we are eternally grateful for your service and for your sacrifice. More than 6 decades after our partnership was forged in the fires of war, the alliance between the United States and South Korea is a cornerstone of peace and security in a very, very dangerous part of the world. The link between our countries, cemented in battle, is now also tied together by culture, commerce, and common values. Together we are facing the threat of the reckless and brutal regime in North Korea. The nuclear and ballistic missile programs of that regime require a determined response. The North Korean dictatorship has no regard for the safety and security of its people or its neighbors, and has no respect for human life, and that's been proven over and over again. Millions of North Korea's own citizens have suffered and starved to death, and the entire world just witnessed what the regime did to our wonderful Otto Warmbier. I thank President Moon for expressing his condolences on the travesty of Otto's death. Our thoughts and our prayers remain with his wonderful family. The era of strategic patience with the North Korean regime has failed. Many years, and it's failed. And frankly, that patience is over. We are working closely with South Korea and Japan, as well as partners around the world, on a range of diplomatic, security, and economic measures to protect our allies and our own citizens from this menace known as North Korea. The United States calls on other regional powers and all responsible nations to join us in implementing sanctions and demanding that the North Korean regime choose a better path and do it quickly, and a different future for its long-suffering people. Our goal is peace, stability, and prosperity for the region. But the United States will defend itself, always will defend itself, always. And we will always defend our allies. As part of that commitment, we are working together to ensure fair burden sharing in support of the United States military presence in South Korea. Burden sharing is a very important factor, a factor that's becoming more and more prevalent, certainly in this administration. We're also working to create a fair and reciprocal economic relationship. From when the U.S.-Korea trade deal was signed in 2011 to 2016, you know who signed it, you know who wanted it. Our trade deficit with South Korea has increased by more than $11 billion. Not exactly a great deal. I was gratified to learn about the new investments South Korean companies are making in the United States. This month, Schneider is sending its first shipment of American liquefied natural gas to South Korea in a deal worth more than $25 billion. It's great. We will do more to remove barriers to reciprocal trade and market access. We talked last night and today about some tough trade issues like autos and steel. And I'm encouraged by President Moon's assurances that he will work to create a level playing field so that American workers and businesses, and especially automakers, can have a fair shake at dealing with South Korea. South Korean companies sell cars in America. American companies should have that same exact privilege on a reciprocal basis. and I'm sure we'll be able to work that out. In addition, I have called on South Korea to stop enabling the export of dumped steel. These would be important steps forward in our trading relationship, very important steps. They have to be made. Not fair to the American worker if they're not, and they will be. Our teams are going to get to work on these issues, and they're going to sign a deal that's great for South Korea and great for the United States. Mr. President, I'm thrilled that you are here today and deeply honored that you choose to go to the United States as your first foreign trip as president. I greatly enjoyed our dinner last night and the many productive discussions that we've already started having today. I look forward to working with you for many years to come to strengthen our alliance, protect our citizens from common threats, and deepen the enduring bonds of friendship between Americans and the great people of South Korea. Thank you very much, President Moon. Thank you.
우선 백악관으로 초청해 주시고 따뜻하게 맞이해 주신 트럼프 대통령의 특별한 환대에 깊이 감사드립니다. 트럼프 대통령께서는
When I was elected president last month, President Trump was the first foreign leader to give me a congratulatory call.
전해 주셨습니다. 이는 험난한 여정을 거쳐
After going through such a tumultuous journey, the Korean people finally achieved victory. The words of President Trump conveyed the warmth of the American people's hearts for what we have accomplished in Korea. For tribulations and adversity we have surmounted, for freedom, democracy, peace, and prosperity, towards which we have walked together, for all the great alliance has achieved, you gave your consolation and support. Once again, let me take this opportunity to thank you, Mr. President, and the American people. In my first phone conversation with President Trump last May, he came across as a man of determination and pragmatism, leaving me a powerful impression. And yesterday and today, I had a candid and lengthy conversation with President Trump, and I was able to prove myself right. From developing the ROK-US alliance, resolving the DPRK's nuclear issue, to building lasting peace on the Korean Peninsula, I affirmed President Trump's unswerving commitments, and we were able to build a broad consensus. During my visit this time, President Trump and I were able to forge friendship as well as deep mutual trust. As we endeavor to tackle numerous challenges ahead of us, this will give us a solid foundation to rely on. First, President Trump and I agreed that only strong security can bring about genuine peace. Through ROK-US combined defense posture, including extended deterrence, we concurred to strengthen our overwhelming deterrence. The threat and provocations by the North will be met with a stern response. The gravest challenge confronting our two nations is the nuclear and missile threat posed by North Korea. President Trump and I decided to place a top priority on addressing this issue and coordinate closely on relevant policies. To this end, our two leaders will employ both sanctions and dialogue in a phased and comprehensive approach, and based on this, we both pledged to seek a fundamental resolution of the North Korean nuclear problem. The North Korean nuclear issue must be resolved without fail. North Korea should by no means underestimate the firm commitment of Korea and the U.S. in this regard. I also urged Pyongyang to promptly return to the negotiating table for denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. National security leaves no room for either compromise or concession. On this occasion, the U.S. and President Trump's firm resolve for the alliance is noted with great appreciation. The Republic of Korea, for its part, will strive to strengthen ROK-U.S. combined defense capabilities, while at the same time, by pursuing defense reform, build up its own capacity to defend itself. As we undertake these endeavors, bilateral cooperation in defense technologies, I hope, will gather further traction. Second, economic partnership between our countries forms an essential pillar for future-oriented development of the alliance. We both agreed on this view. Economic growth and job creation will be promoted to ensure our peoples enjoy greater mutual benefits through the collective efforts we committed to make. Third, as we fight against terrorism and other global challenges together, the ROK-U.S. alliance, as agreed by ourselves, will be broadened and developed into global partnership. As we move forward, our two nations will work towards establishing high-level strategic consultation mechanisms in diverse areas of interest. To make it happen, concrete actions will be formulated in close consultation. I would like to take a moment to convey my heartfelt sympathy and condolences to the American people and the bereaved family grieving over the death of Mr. Won-byeol. The raison d'etre of a state is to defend its people. I deeply sympathize with Americans who are saddened that they were not able to defend their fellow citizens. As a former human rights attorney myself, I am keenly aware of the significance of human rights as the universal value of humanity. To make sure such tragedy never repeats itself, our two nations will cooperate with the community of nations to promote human rights in North Korea. I also invited President Trump to visit Korea this year, and he graciously accepted my offer. Mr. and Mrs. Trump's visit to Korea will once again demonstrate not only our friendship, but also the intimate bond our peoples have come to foster through thick and thin. Your visit will become yet another milestone in defining our partnership. I will see to it that myself. Once again, Mr. President, I extend my sincerest gratitude to you and the First Lady for such warm hospitality. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
They want anything?
Yes, no, yes.
All right, guys, back in the digital studio here. If you guys are watching from YouTube, thanks for joining us. Joint statement, short and sweet, from the two presidents, South Korean President Moon and President Trump. Of course, numerous mentions of Otto Warmbier, the college student who was in a coma after returning from North Korea on an adventure tourism group. And there's been sort of a lot of talk about that. And sounds like both presidents agreed and sent their sympathies to the American people who were saddened by that event. So yeah, just a short and sweet event there in the Rose Garden. I am joined by some intern friends here today. Ryan, Amber, Emily. It is almost 4th of July weekend, guys, so we're going to be kind of bringing you the latest on that. And get this, the news is today that travel, according to AAA, is up by 62% from, or this year for 4th of July travel from the DMV area. So if you're in and around DC, Graham, I know you said you were, if you're still on with us, 1.1 million Washington area residents are planning to travel away from home. And get this, most of it is by car. I don't know if you guys are doing any car traveling, but better watch out on the roadways, right? The commute is going to be crazy. So everything is up now for travel volume, holiday travelers from this area, according to AAA stats. So get ready for some traffic out there, guys.
And all the people coming in.
Yeah, definitely. Right. So people come in as well for the 4th of July fireworks, which we've been seeing a lot of fireworks safety demonstrations and talk throughout the week, both in the city and in our surrounding counties in Virginia and Maryland. And now, actually, we're going to go up to New York City to see what they have to say there. The mayor of New York is slated to come out shortly here to talk about New York City safety and security on this holiday. Of course, it's a big deal. Everything security is always ramped up, both here, of course, and in New York City, but here in the district, fireworks planned on the National Mall, as always, on that Tuesday, July 4th. So no credible threats, as we know, from officials on that here in D.C., but New York will give us a little more of their information and how they are ramping up security for the holiday weekend as well. So we're waiting in now on New York City Police Commissioner James O'Neill and the mayor of New York City himself, Bill de Blasio, to give us more on that. That should be starting up shortly. Yeah, we don't have any sound on it yet, but we'll bring that to you guys when we do have it. Meanwhile, speaking of police, guys, we have this awesome little video from, if we come back locally, from Alexandria Police on reading some of the funny tweets that they've seen. So let's play this video for you guys right here. Check it out. All right, working on volume for you guys. Give me 1 second on that. For now, take a live look at a bump shot of the Capitol.
At Arlington VAPD and Alexandria VAPD, or everything I need this morning, I say yes to the cop romper. Me too. What's a cop romper?
Oh God, we don't need those.
VAPD quick with the clapbacks. Got me clutching imaginary pearls. What's a clapback?
That was to us.
What? What's a clapback?
If you get me one of those DQ dip cones, I'll love you for life. DQ is pretty good, but I'm lactose intolerant, so I don't think that's gonna work right now.
APD releases surveillance footage of suspects from Monday morning's federal bank robbery. At Sarah Nicole. Is that Dad? You better hope not. That's kind of funny. I'd be interested in finding out if it was Dad. I'll look up that case.
You guys are the goats. FR, good job. I'm not sure what you guys mean here, but I raise goats, so good job.
Tom Brady is the only goat.
Oh, man.
WTG at Alexandria VAPD. Gifts. FTW. WTOP traffic. I have no idea what any of that meant.
Are we good at gifts? Do we do this? We do this well? Okay.
Y'all should patrol the streets in the electronic shopping carts. You can just stick criminals in the basket.
That's a very good idea.
These are ridiculous.
So super cute and too cute. Those are our local Alexandria Police. They tweeted that out this morning, and I'll agree with him on Tom Brady in that instance. Looks like we have New York City coming up right here. This is already happening. Chief of, or Police Commissioner rather, and the Mayor are going to speak about 4th of July safety in New York. Let's listen in.
The police department does on a daily basis. And it's not an overstatement to say that the hardworking men and women of the NYPD do it better than any other police department anywhere. The 4th of July detail this year will include our 400 newest police officers. They'll have the opportunity to work on their first holiday. I told them that all yesterday. I told them I'd see them out there because I'll be working also. And I'm sure that building on the NYPD's legacy of keeping our city safe will mark the beginning of many great careers for these young cops. What I'd like to take away, people to take away from the NYPD's preparation is this. They're going to have one of the most well-policed, best protected events anywhere in the nation. We're going to have another safe and enjoyable Independence Day celebration like we do every day. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner, congratulations on the graduation yesterday, which was another very good day for the NYPD. And thank you for the great work you and your team have done in preparing for the 4th of July. So I want to thank everyone up here. People have been working hard on these preparations. Particularly want to thank First Deputy Mayor Tony Shorus, who, as always, leads the efforts of all the different city agencies to coordinate and prepare for major events like 4th of July. Special thanks to Chief of Department Carlos Gomez and Chief of Patrol Terry Monahan for their leadership, and thanks to everyone present. So look, when it comes to the 4th of July, we think about several different things. First of all, it's one of the great celebrations in the year. It's a chance for people to really enjoy themselves, families to be together, friends to be together. We want people to do it safely. And the first concern we have is that people act responsibly. It's great to celebrate, but you gotta celebrate in a smart way. So we're really concerned to make sure that people don't drink and drive, don't take chances that could ruin other people's lives. And NYPD will be out there in force to make sure everyone is safe. We are very proud to be the safest big city in America. That's something we have to earn every single day, and that includes on a holiday weekend. So NYPD will be out in force to keep everyone safe. Now, we think about the everyday realities we have to face in fighting crime. We think about the particular challenges of a holiday weekend. Of course, we know the world we're living in. The NYPD is constantly focused on preventing acts of terror. As the commissioner said, there are no specific and credible threats directed at New York City and directed at these celebrations. That being said, all of our specialized commands will be out in force, the Critical Response Command, the SRG, ESU. Everyone will be on alert as a matter of course, even though there are no specific threats we're dealing with. You'll see, I want to tell all New Yorkers to be ready for this and see this as a good thing. You will see well-armed police officers with long guns. You'll see the vaporwake dogs. That's something we do around every major gathering. That's what keeps us safe. So do not be alarmed by that. Our officers are there to protect you, and we believe in strength in numbers, and you'll see that visibly on July 4th. Now, as I said, unfortunately, the other part of the equation is keeping people safe from some more mundane realities. And sadly, the July 4th time of year, that's usually one of the deadliest weekends of the year when it comes to traffic fatalities. We're going to be responding to that very, very aggressively, proactively. You'll see a lot more enforcement in terms of DWI. You will see random checkpoints around the city. I want to tell everyone that in advance. If you are surprised when you roll up to a checkpoint, you shouldn't be, because you're going to see checkpoints at times like this, because it's part of what we do under Vision Zero to keep people safe. And NYPD is going to be very, very aggressive and will not tolerate drunk driving. Just don't take the chance of destroying someone else's life, and there will be real consequences. So that's the enforcement side, but we want to incentivize as well. And so there's an excellent effort that's been put together as part of a larger campaign called Know Your Limit. You will hear from both our Transportation Commissioner and our TLC Commissioner in a moment, but one of the great things in this Know Your Limit campaign is that through the Curb app, you can get $10 off each cab ride over this holiday weekend to encourage people to take a cab instead of driving if you might be under the influence. So that's something that's going to make it easier for people to get around and not take chances. Obviously, with that discount available, that's a great reason to take a cab. Mass transit, obviously, is always a good option. Just plan ahead so you're not in a situation where you're trying to get home and you're under the influence and you feel the only choice left to you is to take a chance you shouldn't take. So we're going to be out there on those fronts, and also, as per usual, on July 4th weekend, we're concerned about illegal fireworks. So NYPD will be out there very aggressively on that as well. Look, we've seen some real tragedies around illegal fireworks. We don't take it lightly at all. You know, if you have them, expect the NYPD to find them. There's at least a summons related to having illegal fireworks. It could be worse depending on the circumstances. So there are real consequences. Everyone needs to take that seriously. But that being said, we feel very, very prepared. I will always want to credit the leadership of the NYPD, the men and women who patrol our streets, and all the other agencies who are part of this. Every time we have a big celebration, there are dozens of agencies that get involved. Everyone's prepared. This is one of the things that makes me proudest as mayor of this city, is how prepared all of our agencies, all of our public servants are to handle big moments like this. So expect a great weekend, expect a lot of fun, and know that there are a lot of people working hard to keep you safe. Now, a few words in Spanish. Queremos que todos los neoyorquinos disfruten un 4 de julio con alegría y diversión. La policía van a estar trabajando duro para garantizar la seguridad de todos. Por favor, les pedimos a todos que se diviertan de manera responsable y, si beben, no manejen. With that, I want to first turn to our Transportation Commissioner, and then why don't we have them both come up, our Transportation Commissioner, Polly Trottenberg, and our TLC Commissioner, Mira Joshi, to talk about some of the special measures that have been taken for the holiday weekend.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I just want to underscore, you've mentioned the programs we're going to be focusing on this weekend, Know Your Limit, and my colleague will talk about the CURB program. I just want to underscore some of the statistics and the message, because we found in our Vision Zero campaign, which has been, we're proud of our success, we know we have more to do, then we get the messages out to the public and the media helps us with that. We really see that it has an effect on people's behavior and their public awareness. So just a reminder, some of the statistics that are involved at this time of year, from between Memorial Day and July 4th, we typically see a quarter of the drunk driving related fatalities. And one of the things we're seeing, the National Safety Council is predicting this year potentially a real record of traffic fatalities. There's a lot of driving activity. So again, we want to get the message out to New Yorkers. Please, as the mayor had said, you don't need to drink and drive. We have so many other transportation alternatives. This has typically, unfortunately, been a holiday weekend where we see a lot of tragedies on our roadways. And obviously, we want to make sure the public has the message to help us keep those numbers down, to help us with Vision Zero and keeping New Yorkers safe on our streets.
Good morning, and I want to underscore, we want everybody to go out and celebrate this weekend, and we want them to get home safely. So we're fortunate to live in a city with a tremendous abundance of for-hire options of car services. To sweeten the pot, we have an offer. Anyone who downloads the CURB app can use a green or yellow taxi between 7 p.m. and 4 a.m. They put in the promo code NODWI, no DWI, and they'll get $10 off every ride. And this is a way of giving back. The city's partnered with the app. We're using some of the money that is brought in through enforcement against DWI to give back to people, to give them a way to get home safely and enjoy the 4th of July weekend. So be safe, everyone, and avail yourselves of all the for-hire services we have out there.
Say the days again.
The days are Friday, so it starts today at 7 p.m. and goes to 4 a.m. the following Saturday, then again Saturday, Sunday, and Monday and Tuesday. So the entire 4-day weekend.
Good morning. As the mayor mentioned and also the commissioners, we have our highway patrol, which will be working our highways, and also our 77 precincts throughout the city, working on the city streets. They're on high alert for drunk drivers and people who are driving under influence. So our officers through this weekend and July 4th will be seeking to arrest drivers who are under the influence. So certainly know your limit, plan ahead with a designated driver. Barbecues is not an open invitation to consume large quantities of alcohol. If you love your car, if you need your car to go on vacation, or you need it to commute to work, then do not drink and drive, because we will seek to take permanent possession of your vehicle for forfeiture if you drink while you're drunk, okay? Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Next Tuesday's July 4th celebrations on both banks of the East River, as well as other parts of the city, will be very well policed and very secure events. There are many layers of security involved, which I'll describe in a few moments. Several thousand uniform officers, including the 408 recruits that graduated yesterday from the academy, will be assigned to security and counterterrorism functions throughout the day. The main event certainly is the Macy's fireworks celebration here on the East River. It still commences at 9:20 p.m., but there are some changes in the configuration and placement of the barges that the public should know, because it may impact the viewing areas. There will still be 5 barges. They will be anchored from 41st Street down to 24th Street. But the difference this year is that there will be no barges south of 24th Street, no barges by the Brooklyn Bridge. So certainly that could impact viewers down in Lower Manhattan and in parts of Brooklyn. Early Tuesday afternoon, we'll be operating the Joint Operations Center, which is this very impressive room. And we will have over 30, it'll be staffed by members from 30 local, state, and federal agencies that will coordinate the operations throughout the afternoon and certainly the evening. At around 3 p.m., we will begin to establish detours in Manhattan. We will close the FDR Drive. So certainly that's going to have an adverse impact on traffic. We encourage those that are attending the celebration to utilize public transportation. And for that reason, we've added more resources, more officers in our transit system, our transportation, and our transportation hubs. At around 6:30 p.m., we will allow spectators onto the viewing areas on the FDR Drive. And as a reminder to all that choose to attend, please do not bring coolers, no backpacks, no large packages, no alcohol, no lawn chairs, and no umbrellas. I know it's going to be a nice, sunny, hot day, but no umbrellas. You won't be allowed in it in the event with them. Certainly, you will be subject to bag checks, and this is to ensure your safety as well as the safety of all the spectators. Several thousand uniform officers will be on security posts in the viewing areas and the surrounding streets. Those are the officers that you'll be able to see. There will be a good amount of officers attired in civilian clothes that will be mingling in with the crowds to detect any suspicious activity or behavior. Something new this year, we'll be utilizing over 100 blocker vehicles and almost 20 sand trucks. We're going to have heavy weapons teams at all the venues here in Manhattan, as well as the outer boroughs, and Chief James Waters will go into greater detail in a few moments about that. Counterterrorism officers will be working. They'll have radiation detection devices on their person. Explosive detective canines will be deployed, and we will have officers on rooftop posts monitoring the crowds below. The large fleet of our harbor unit will be out patrolling in the East River as well as the Hudson, and we will be utilizing the aviation unit to monitor rooftops, crowds, and traffic from above. Additional officers, as I stated earlier, will be assigned to the subway stations near the event areas, and they will be conducting more bag checks, and they will be deploying more canines in the system. Throughout the city, in all of our precincts, additional officers will be assigned to address the anticipated increase in call volume. It's certainly a very busy tour, that 4 to 12 into the late tour. They'll also be there to conduct fireworks enforcement and to monitor large crowds that may gather at parks, large house parties that may become problematic later that evening. Reminder to all that not only are fireworks dangerous, and each year we certainly have some terrible injuries, but they're also illegal. And we've commenced our fireworks enforcement in this department. It will continue throughout the weekend. We know where the hotspots are. We have officers in civilian attire that will be focusing their efforts in those locations. And we urge the public to utilize 311 if you have information of storage locations or where these fireworks are being sold, and certainly call 911 if they're being detonated at that moment. And so far this year, we've effected 27 arrests for fireworks. We've issued many summonses, and we've had 41 confiscation incidents. Commitment to Vision Zero, as Tom Chan stated earlier. There will be sobriety checkpoints throughout the weekend in many parts of the city. And as the commissioner said, safety is a shared responsibility. There'll be a million eyes and ears out there Tuesday. If you see something, if you hear something, certainly tell an officer or call the New York City Terror Hotline, 888 NYC SAFE. And we look forward to having a very safe evening Tuesday. Hope to see you out there. Thank you.
On Tuesday, the 4th of July, you'll see a robust counterterrorism presence in the city and on the detail for the firework display. Let me take you just through a quick walkthrough of what that will look like. There are 15 entry points in Manhattan, and there are entry points in both Brooklyn and Queens, and each of them will be replicated pretty close to exact. So you'll be subject to bag checks. There will be no large bags. There'll be no backpacks. But we will take a look through your bags if you come with bags. You will be passing through officers who have radiation detection equipment on their gun belts. You will see a long gun, counterterrorism, critical response command, striker team at each entry point. And behind all of that, you'll see one of our either vapor wake or explosive detection canine dogs taking up the rear. So you will have to pass through that gauntlet, if you will, of security measures before you reach the area where you can enter up onto the FDR Drive. In addition to that, our bomb squad will be working throughout the 5 boroughs, both response teams and teams that are assigned to the detail. And there are a lot of things that you won't see. So we rely heavily on our technology. So there's several hundred cameras either in the area or placed in the area for this event, as well as our radiation detection and our buyer watch systems to better protect the city. I think the message is very clear from the mayor, the police commissioner, the chief of department. The message is come out and enjoy our nation's 241st birthday. The NYPD and the city as a whole are well experienced, rich in experience in protecting the city each and every day. And we're very experienced at policing and protecting large details and large gatherings. Thank you.
We're going to start off with questions about the 4th of July celebration, and we can transition to other police-related topics, and then we can transition to mayoral topics after that. We're going to start with 4th of July.
All right, if you couldn't hear Steve, we're going to start out with on topic. Right.
Explain the reason for the blocker trucks, and there are 20 sand-filled and 100
Sure.
the other vehicle.
Yeah. Again, it's something I talk about every time I speak, is that we have to pay attention to what's going on, not just in the city. We have to pay attention to what's going on in the nation and the world. We saw what happened in Nice. So ever since Nice, we've deployed sand trucks and blocker vehicles at all our major events. Yeah.
Commissioner, I wonder, obviously the big event is the big target, but the other thing we've seen around the world is that, maybe it's smaller targets that are now kind of an opportunity for terrorists when all eyes are on the big thing.
Right.
So how does that factor in on Tuesday?
That's something that we factor in every day of the week. If you look at what we've done over the last 3.5 years, We built up our capacity to protect and respond with the Strategic Response Group and the Critical Response Command. So there'll be people deployed all over the city. And this is something that we take into account each and every day. Yeah.
Are you doing anything differently this year than last year?
If we were, I probably wouldn't tell you right now. You know, it's the 4th of July. It's a great event. It's multiple venues. It's across the river. It's Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan. So there are things that we do differently every year, but I'm not going to go into the specifics of that. You sure may.
The movement of the barges upriver have anything to do with security?
Say that again?
The movement of the barges upriver, does
Right.
it have anything to do with security?
Well, we have our harbor units out there escorting them. So their placement? Their placement? No. It's for maximum so that the most number of people can see it. Yep. Dean.
You mentioned the 3 boroughs. What about security in Brooklyn and Queens? We have a lot about Manhattan.
We're using resources all over the city. That's why we have our Queens Borough Commander here and our Brooklyn Borough Commander here also. That encompasses the whole detail. It's not just Manhattan centric. You know, they're at the barges are in the East River, so we have to be just as concerned about the Brooklyn side and the Queens side. Rocco.
Beyond Times Square, are there any other locations where the city intends to put permanent bollards in?
Beyond the 4th of July?
Just a little bit off topic. Beyond the bollards that...
Yeah, let's wait until we go all the way off topic. Then we can talk about that. Okay? All right. All right, Rocco, I think we can get back to you now. All right.
Beyond the bollards in Times Square, do you anticipate installing bollards?
Yeah, it's something that Jim orders his people in counterterrorism do. We are looking at additional locations to install bollards.
Did you say where, Commissioner?
What? Not right now. Juliet.
Yeah, the DA, Cy Vance, says he will be not prosecuting fare beating. What is your response to that, and how do you go forward?
Listen, we're always looking for ways to reduce online arrest for a number of different reasons. We want to be as fair as possible, and we also want to make sure that we're keeping the maximum number of uniforms out on patrol, especially in the subway. Enforcement is down in the subway, but we have to take a real serious look. If we're going to make a move like that, you know, what are the implications for public safety? And everybody knows I started out as a transit cop, and you have to control the entry area. So fare evasion enforcement is an important part of keeping everybody in the city safe. So we'll work with the DA. I think we have a great relationship with Cy in his office, and we'll work with the other district attorney's offices as we move forward. Yeah.
Richard, just curious what your position is on the legalization of marijuana for recreational use. Do you support it?
I'm not, the way we have it now, I think it's important that we maintain that. We've done a number of things over the last couple of years. If it's just possession, it's a violation now. But if it's smoking in public, it's still a misdemeanor arrest, and I think it's important that we maintain that position. And that's based on the complaints that we see citywide through 311 and the community council meetings that I attend. So it's important that we still have the ability to do that.
You don't mind that the police have to dedicate a significant amount of resources to it? Do you have a personal stance on the question of legalization?
We have, Dermot's here, I think we have a reduction in marijuana arrests this year. So this is something, again, this is part of the low-level quality of life things that I'm talking about. But we have to keep in mind public safety. You know, I was at a community council meeting in Queens South a number of months ago, and someone got up and spoke about quality of life enforcement and how maybe it was unfair. And then after the meeting ended, as I was walking out, I was confronted by about 20 homeowners that said, listen, you need to keep doing this. This makes us feel safe. So, you know, who do I listen to? I have to listen to everybody in the city. Miles.
Two things. If we can get an update on the cyclist who was hit in Brooklyn and the criminal mischief situation in 108.
All right, Tom, do you have the cyclist? Okay. And Bob?
In the confines of the 8-3 precinct, Central Avenue and Linder Street, we had a bicyclist who was struck at the intersection at that location. What happened is that initially it was thought that the vehicle left the scene. The vehicle did remain at the scene, and I believe that the EMS treated, and the individual did stop at the time. We had possession of the vehicle at the time. We were looking to determine the owner. What happened was that prior to the arrival of the police, the driver, after the people were treated at the scene, left the scene subsequently. But we do have possession of the vehicle. So again, that individual is being treated at Kings County Hospital.
The driver being charged?
At this time, we're looking to determine who the driver is. Now, we won't know whether he's licensed, he's suspended, so it's unknown at this time. We're still under investigation.
Did he run off, or did he maybe not realize he struck the bicyclist?
I don't have that information, but what happened is that the vehicle, after having collided with the individual, did remain at the scene because we have EMS and some other statements that indicated he remained on scene, but he left prior to the arrival of the police department.
Chief, on the 108 precinct, do you know that? Criminal mischief? My boss is asking.
Our
heart bleeds for you.
So give us a couple minutes after this is over, and we'll get something back to you. Yeah, in the front row.
Yeah, I'd like to go back to the DA announcement. So they said that they're working with the NYPD, so they give summonses instead of arrests. Who would be the individuals that you'd consider giving summonses instead of arrests?
Well, right now, if you beat the fare, it's about 75% of the people get summonses. They get the Transit Adjudication Bureau summonses, and then about 25% of people get processed. So we're looking to, and we'll work with Cy's office to reduce the number. I think last year there were 9,400 TOS theft of service arrests in Manhattan. And I think there's ways that working with his office, we can reduce that number to keep uniforms back out on patrol. And there's a recidivism policy that we'll probably be working with. And this isn't a conversation that just started yesterday. So we've been talking to Cy for a while, and we're just trying to figure out the best way to move forward and the best way to keep everybody safe in the subway. I think it's important to control the entry areas. It is. It's how we keep the city safe and the subway safe. Juliet?
Do you have any statistics on if people actually pay the fines and deal with the summonses?
We can get some tab information for you. I don't have it off the top of my head, which is the Transit Adjudication Bureau. John?
Commissioner, Carlos Fernandez, the head of the JTF, the FBI, is retiring today. Can you just describe the relationship between JTF in the past and going forward?
It's a big loss for the FBI, and I think it's a big loss for the NYPD too. I talk about Bill and Carlos all the time, but I'm sure Bill will be able to put somebody in that spot that will continue to help us keep the city safe. Carlos, yeah. What's that? Bill Sweeney, the Assistant Director in charge. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Assistant Director in charge of the New York office of the FBI. Now, Carlos has been in this business a long time. I wish him the best of luck, and we're gonna miss working with him, but I'm sure we'll be able to find somebody just as capable. Yeah. In the back? Yeah.
Was wondering if you and the mayor can speak to this morning, an activist confronted the mayor while he was working out at the gym. I'm wondering if there are any security concerns about the fact that he works out at a publicly accessible Y, or accessible to members, that critics or activists can just walk up and speak to him or confront him directly the way they did today.
Yeah, it's not, first of all, I've been going there now 3.5 years as mayor. I think it's the first time that particular type of thing happened, but it's not publicly accessible. To go into a YMCA, you have to be a member or you have to have an authorized pass. So if that person had that, then they violated the rules of the Y and they're not allowed to be there anymore. So I'm not surprised at people coming up and offering their opinion, but they should do it in the right place. They want to do that outside on the public sidewalk, that's great. They want to show up at City Hall, that's great, or one of my events, God bless America. But you don't go into a private organization with a membership policy and violate the policy that's directed at everyone. It's not just about me. You know, there's a policy in place to protect all people who are members of the Y. It's a pretty important organization in our society, the YMCA, and it has a set of rules that's true all over the city, all over the country, and you can't violate those rules, and that's what the guy did. You can't disrupt other people in the middle of doing their, private time, and that's just obvious. Think about I don't know if you go to the gym, I hope you do, think about it. If you're in the gym or any other place, you go to you name it, any kind of place that you're a member of, people are not allowed to disrupt your time there. It's pretty simple.
What happened to that person?
I think he was just asked to leave.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask you about the Manhattan DA's policy of not prosecuting these low-level offenses like but it's other offenses too that I would.
Well, I haven't seen everything that DA Vance has talked about, but let me affirm a couple of points. You just heard, I think there's a lack of information out there. On fare evasion, 75% of the time, it is a summons. To get to arrest, and you know a lot about day-to-day life in the city, to get to arrest, you have to have done it a bunch of times or have an outstanding serious warrant or some other factor, typically. So I'm the first to say, if someone, I don't think anyone should ever be a fare evader, but if you did it one time, that's a summons. But if you do it a bunch of times, you're asking for higher consequences, because I'm very stringent on this point. You can't evade the fare. You can't jump the turnstile. It's not legal. It's not right. So this is one where there has to be a consequence. What we're debating here is what type of consequence. Now, already NYPD has greatly turned towards summons instead of arrests. And then in some other areas, as you know, like low-level marijuana possession, they've turned entirely to summons. That's fair from my point of view, but I would not want to see a situation where, for example, if someone is constantly fare evading, they can't do that. There has to be a bigger consequence then. Or if because they had an outstanding warrant for something else, there was some reticence to arrest them on a more serious charge. I don't think we should ever have that problem either. So I'm sure the NYPD and the district attorney can work it through and come up with some balance, but I want to recognize how much the NYPD has done already to create a better approach.
Mr. Mayor, just to follow up on that, I remember you were asked this several times at your Staten Island town hall. You gave a similar answer about fare
About the buses.
Yeah. I'm wondering, especially in light of your lack of support for the Fair Fares campaign, what do you say to people of very limited means who say they have to get somewhere, and for whatever reason they feel like they have no choice but to jump the turnstile?
I don't accept that way of thinking. I just don't. I have done a lot in my life to try and help people who are of limited means. This whole administration is devoted to reducing income inequality. You've heard that our projections by the end of this year, about 280,000 people will have been lifted out of poverty in the time this administration has been here. We're very focused on efforts to give people more resources, higher wages, better benefits, better paying jobs, lightening the burden on families, things like pre-K, after school. That's where we approach it on a policy level. But there's no way in hell anyone should be evading their fare. That would create chaos. If there's some people like at that town hall meeting, I think they were people of good heart, but they were basically saying, "Oh, let our young people just not pay the fare." Where does that end? Does anyone just decides each day whether they want to pay a fare or not, depending on like what mood you're in or what you had for breakfast? Like, no, everyone has to pay their fare. So you mischaracterize a little bit my view on the quote-unquote fair fare concept. I believe it's a great idea, and I believe the state of New York, which you may know, controls the MTA. I don't know if I've mentioned that the state of New York should make that a priority. I think that's a commendable priority. We can't afford that right now. But I think the more essential point is we're trying to create a situation where people have more resources, have more opportunity. But in the meantime, God forbid you don't have the resources you need. The choice is not to evade the fare. That's not acceptable.
How serious is the risk to funding radiological surveillance in the city in light of the reports against the Trump administration?
I've been down in Washington a few times. I've spoken to a number of senators, a number of people from Congress. We're working really hard. They understand the situation. They understand that New York City is the #1 terror target. I can't predict the future, but I don't think they're willing to put New York City at risk. I think the funding is going to, I think we'll be in a good place. We'll be able to take care of the city. Yes.
All right, guys, so you are continuing to see this news conference here with the police commissioner of New York City and Mayor de Blasio. He's there next to him on the feed here. Long one, a lot of questions about sort of unrelated topics to what we're talking about today, which is 4th of July safety, security in the city, of course, New York City, ramping it up for this holiday weekend. But I was hearing a lot of questions about marijuana use and subway stuff, and then course, some references to DC as well. So just kind of checking back in. This one's going long, but sounds like they are ready for this holiday weekend to come on in. And we're going to switch it up just to keep it interesting for you guys. So if you're watching us or just joining us, thanks for watching Fox 5 Live. Right now below us, below my picture here, is a live feed of the NYPD and the mayor of New York City talking about this weekend's safety. But also, guys, did you know today is actually Asteroid Day? Kind of a funny thing. I didn't really know, but it's a global awareness event. People coming around the world to talk about how we can protect the Earth from an asteroid impact. And NASA actually put out, it's putting out a live production, a live video on planetary defense, because they're saying every day is Asteroid Day. Pretty interesting stuff, and actually live from NASA right now, they're putting on this production for International Asteroid Day observance. So let's check in with NASA to see what they have. This probably only goes on a few more minutes here, but let's go over to NASA TV, and then we'll come back into the digital newsroom.
Radar observations, they have been used in the past to support spacecraft missions, and in fact, mission OSIRIS-REx, that it's on its way to rendezvous asteroid Bennu in 2018, has definitely benefited from the existing radar observations, because based on that, we had a full reconstruction of Bennu's shape. We had estimate of its size, of its spin state, and even mass. And you can imagine all this information is really useful when you are planning proximity spacecraft operations around an asteroid. It just gives you a kind of level of safety for the mission, and it also allows for you to better plan the scientific observations.
Okay, I have a social media question, and this one is someone who's trying to understand, why do asteroids have these odd names like 2014 J025? I mean, why don't you call it Madge? You know, why do you have these names?
Yeah, so there is actually a good reason for it. So Minor Planet Center assigns these temporary designations, and they mean something to us. For example, 2014 J025. 2014 means it was discovered in 2014. Letter J tells me that it was discovered in the first 2 weeks of May. And then 025, there's a little formula. That tells me that it was 639th minor planet that was discovered in that 2-week period. So there is a method to the madness.
All right. So when people see that 2014 2025, they understand.
Yes, there is actually meaning.
Thanks, Marina.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, we mentioned NASA's NEOWISE space telescope earlier. NEOWISE is a space telescope. Now, it was originally designed to image the sky in the infrared spectrum. That is the spectrum that detects heat. Now, originally, this was the WISE telescope, and it was sent to survey the skies. Then it completed its job, and it was mothballed, and then it was realized that maybe it was very good at detecting asteroids. So then it was taken out of mothballs and became the NEOWISE mission, in which it allowed us to actually search for asteroids. It's focused now to characterizing and finding near-Earth asteroids. It turns out that infrared is just a great tool for hunting space rocks, especially the dark ones that are difficult for the ground telescopes to spot. Amy Meinzer is the principal investigator for NEOWISE. Amy, can you explain to me why this is such a great tool? Why is infrared so great?
Thanks, Gay. Well, one of the great things about using different wavelengths of light to study these objects is that we learn something different and unique from each new way that we look at it. We just heard about how radar provides a whole array of useful information about asteroids. Infrared light is different from both visible light and radar in terms of what it returns to us. With visible light, we're seeing light bouncing off the surface of the asteroid and coming into our telescopes. So we're very sensitive to the properties of the surface. If the surface is really dark, it's harder to see with visible wavelengths. Whereas,
so Amy, we actually have an infrared camera in the room with you. And so what is it doing? It's just detecting the heat?
Yeah, that's right. So what you're seeing is the heat that's coming off of me. You can see that my nose is cold, my fingers are a little cold. But this is the kind of imaging that we use with the asteroids. And we look for them using their heat signatures. So this lets us see them regardless of whether they're kind of light in color on their surfaces or darker in color on their surfaces.
And how is that helpful in terms of being able to spot the asteroids?
Well, there definitely are asteroids out there in the population that we know that are made of carbonaceous materials as opposed to lighter colored stony materials. These really dark colored objects are harder to spot with visible light, but if we look for them with their heat signatures using infrared telescopes like NEOWISE, they pop out.
All right. So tell me more about NEOWISE. I tried to relay this story about that it wasn't originally sent out there to look for asteroids.
That's right. The original mission is the Wide Field Infrared Survey Explorer mission. The principal investigator is Dr. Ned Wright of UCLA. And the mission was originally designed to survey the whole sky in infrared light. To search for very bright galaxies and very cool stars. It did that beautifully. It finished its prime mission successfully. But in the process, we found that it was actually quite effective at spotting asteroids, particularly these very dark objects. So when the mission was completed in 2011, we thought that was the end of the story. But we were lucky. We were able to bring it back to life.
Absolutely not. We have a graphic that I can pull up, and it shows all the discoveries that NEOWISE has made. How many discoveries has NEOWISE made?
Right. So yeah, the graphic shows you the asteroids that we've detected since the restart of the mission in 2013. So if we include the prime mission as well as the restart years, we have a total of around 34,000 new discoveries.
34,000. All right, so we obviously have shown that this technology works. So what do we see ahead as future technology? Kind of maximizing on what we've learned.
Right. Well, one of the great things about having gotten to use this spacecraft for a new purpose, which is to search for asteroids and comets, is that we've learned a great deal about how to do this work using a space-based telescope, an infrared telescope, for discovery in large numbers. Now, the thing is, NEOWISE was never originally designed for this purpose, and all good things are going to come to an end. Eventually, the mission is going to end. It was not designed to last this long. And it really wasn't designed from the get-go for searching for asteroids. However, we've been looking at new ways to search for asteroids using a space telescope that is designed for this purpose. And we call that the Near-Earth Object Camera, or NEOCAM.
All right. And there is a picture of it.
Right. Yeah. So it's basically designed to go out and spend all of its time searching for asteroids and comets that could potentially get close to the Earth. And the main difference from NEOWISE is that it's going to have a longer lifetime. It can search a much wider area of the sky. And it has modern next-generation detectors. So basically, these are the camera chips that are capable of sensing the asteroids at the wavelengths where they're really bright, which is infrared.
Perfect. Well, I have a social media question, and we have gotten several about how things are named. And I understand that you have been involved in naming asteroids in the past after women who were very strong.
You know, one of the great privileges of discovering asteroids is that we do get to name them. The discoverer the IAU allows us to propose names and submit them. And if they approve them, then that's the name of the object. There's some just really fantastic people out there who I think deserve asteroid names.
Give us some examples.
Well, Malala was one. And actually, one of my colleagues, Dr. Carrie Nugent, over at Caltech, and I were talking about her, and we're just like, man, she's amazing. She needs an asteroid.
Well, yes, that is a great perk. Thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you, Gay.
Okay, so what if we identify an object that actually is headed our way? NASA has to deal with that too. Let's check in again with NASA's Planetary Defense Officer Lindley Johnson and Calif, manager of the Near-Earth Object Observation Program. So, Lindley and Kelly, we have plenty of time right now, and let's look at this step of the whole phase that you have to deal with. I mean, first of all, Kelly, say an asteroid is headed for Earth. Would we tell the public about it? People seem to really be concerned about that.
Yes, Gay, we would tell the public because, first of all, the data are public. The observations go to the Minor Planet Center. The orbit determination shows up on the websites there and on the Center for Near-Earth Object Studies. So the information would be out there to begin with. But first of all, we'd want to do a confirmation at NASA. We'd want to work with our partners in the International Asteroid Warning Network to look at orbit determination and to look at the risk of impact and the effects of the impact, and to make sure that everybody's on the same page or getting consistent answers, to have that verification so that the most accurate information is going out there. And then also at NASA, there is a notification procedure in place where there would be a notification that would go up through the NASA administrator to the White House and on to other U.S. agencies, on to Congress, and also ultimately to other countries. And so, yes, it would become very public very quickly. And so we would just want to make sure that happens in the right and accurate way.
All right. So people should be rest assured that that information would never be withheld.
Right, that's correct. Right. It really wouldn't, because again, it's the information is on websites, and people with the right telescopes. I mean, the skies are open, so they can look themselves.
All right. So the next question goes to Lindley. What happens next if you do see something that appears to be going to be able to impact the Earth?
Well, okay, that all depends on how big it is. You've already shown us the example of 2008 TC3, a very small object that we knew that the Earth's atmosphere would protect us from it, so we weren't too worried about it. We just wanted to determine where it was going to impact, at what time, so we could go out and collect all the meteorites, as you saw, because that's a very valuable resource for the scientists to learn more about asteroids. So it's kind of a free sample return, so to speak. But if it's a larger object, say a few tens of meters in size, that's where we have to get the other federal agencies involved and their counterparts around the world to, first of all, determine where on the Earth it's going to impact so that we can alert them. One thing about predicting asteroid impacts is that we can determine precisely the time that they're going to impact. And with observations as we take, as it comes in, we can determine a location very accurately too. And so this is kind of a unique thing for FEMA and the other emergency response community, is that we can tell them the time and location of a potential disaster before it's going to happen. So there's very valuable information for them to prepare the area, the community that might be affected by it, so that populations can be evacuated and infrastructure locked down. Now, if it's bigger than that, and this is actually our main objective at the Planetary Defense Coordination Office and all of the projects that we work with, all that you've seen today, is to find an object that is large enough that it could affect a major metropolitan or a statewide area, find it far enough out in time that we have time to initiate a space mission to go out and deflect it off of that impact trajectory. So we are looking at various techniques and technologies like a kinetic impactor or a gravity tractor that we could send out several years in advance to prevent the impact in the first place.
So let's take that as an example. Kelly, if there was something as big as a football stadium, is that something that can be dealt with?
Well, actually, I'm going to kick that one to Lindley and let him address that.
Okay. Lindley, if it's as big as a football stadium, is that something that we have even thought about?
Oh, yes. That is the type of scenario that we are mainly looking at.
Hi, guys. If you're just checking in with us, we're watching live from NASA TV. This is a production, and you're watching this person here, a NASA employee from the Washington, D.C. headquarters of NASA, answer questions about asteroids, and it's International Asteroid Day observance. So they're talking about how we can defend planet Earth from asteroids. So pretty cool production. And it only goes on, I think, till 1 o'clock Eastern time. So we'll bring it to you as long as we have it and then jump back into the digital newsroom. But for now, guys, thanks for watching Fox 5 Live, and we'll jump back in to hear the remainder of this production.
Reach the same point in space at the Earth at the predicted impact time. We will have slowed it down, and so the Earth will have already passed that point in space. So that is a principle that is used in all of our various mitigation techniques. So the kinetic impactor, we just hit it hard with the spacecraft. That knocks off a few inches per second speed in its velocity and causes it to be a miss instead of a hit. The gravity tractor operates similarly in that the mutual attraction between the spacecraft and the asteroid over time slowly, using nature's tug rope, gravity, slowly tugs that asteroid off of the impact trajectory and prevents it from impacting the Earth.
So we have just a few minutes left. If we could talk about that in our last 3 minutes. The fact that asteroids are a natural hazard, and from what we're hearing all throughout this program, it's a natural hazard that appears to be preventable.
Well, that's very true. It's one of the few natural hazards, natural disasters that we know how to prevent if we detect them far enough out into the future. And so that is the objective of our program here at NASA, is find them early, as we say.
All right. So one more question for Kelly. If there were some key messages that you would want out there to tell the public, what would those key messages be regarding asteroids?
Well, like we've been hearing over and over again throughout the program, is that you want to find them early. You want to find them first, and then you can, so that you can determine what the response might be. But if you don't know they're there, you're not going to know what to do about them. However, at the same time, as I always tell people, it's not something that we're lying awake at night worrying about. I mean, we're doing what we can, and there's more that needs to be done. But I want to put it in context. I mean, we're hard at work here at NASA, and our colleagues all through the U.S. and through the world, they're working hard on the problem. But again, people shouldn't be worried and fearful if we're working on it.
And that's what I seem to be hearing, that it's possible to take a proactive sort of stance in all of this, that we do know that asteroids are out there. We do know that they could pose a real hazard. But what I'm hearing here is this is sort of a proactive approach, that if they're out there, let's find them and then let's see what we're dealing with.
Yes, Gay, because we have a space program and we have the technologies to go out and be able to move these small bodies in space now, this is something that we can prevent. We just need to have the will to put the programs together to, first of all, find them well before the impacts, and then have the capabilities demonstrated that would be able to divert the objects. Now, one of the programs that we're trying to...
All right. Well, Lindley, thank you so much. This was a very, very informative program, and thank you so much for your information. Here are the websites once again: the Planetary Defense website, the Minor Planet Center website, and CNEOS. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you learned something, and we hope your questions were answered. That wraps things up from here at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory.
All right, guys, that wraps up the little NASA production that we wanted to bring you from NASA TV. How cool is that? Anything on asteroids and comets and sort of the differences between the two and what to expect as we are in Asteroid Observance Day and Planetary Defense from NASA. Just always interesting stuff. All right, we are joined now by Raisa in the back, a new guest. She's our social media editor, guys, for Fox 5 DC. So she's coming into the digital newsroom today because we're going to talk about an interesting topic. I don't have any footage, unfortunately, of this, but we're just going to talk about it. Jay-Z and Beyonce, right, Raisa?
Yes.
What is the thing about that? What dropped last night? Tell us.
His 444 album.
Yep.
Which, if you haven't already heard on Tidal, it's like a hit or miss. Either you love it or you hate it, but there's one thing that you're gonna love is how intimate it is. He completely opens up, slays his ego. It's definitely a little bit different from the old Jay-Z that you're used to. This one is, he just gets down personally, and it's almost, I feel, a response to Bay's Lemonade, because when her album dropped, everybody wanted to know who Becky was, right? So with this one, he definitely addresses a few family issues that have constantly been questioned. The whole incident with Solange. Do you remember that, Molly?
I don't know if yes, I do.
Yeah,
there was
the elevator.
I do. There was the fight or whatever with Beyonce's sister. So now Beyonce's had her twins,
right?
And Jay-Z just dropped his album, and the big news of the night was that in one of his songs, what he brings up an intimate problem that he had with Beyonce, right?
Absolutely.
Past relationship drama.
The infidelity.
Okay.
Which has been everybody's, did he cheat? Did he not? Who is this Becky? And he also opened up a little bit with his mother, or about his mother. The song was called Smile with Gloria Carter. He finally basically says that she opened up to being a lesbian, because for the longest she kept that as a secret, just wanted to be accepted. But he's like, be happy. He basically says, she's a lesbian and he loves her, and that was the gist of that song.
And in the end, do we think from last night's revelation that he admits to what Beyonce was putting in her Lemonade song? Like, is he basically self-admitting this in his album? We think so.
We think so, and only because there is this song, the 444 song. Let me read you a quick little lyric.
Yeah, I don't even know yet. She has it all down.
I have it written down, guys, because couldn't remember this one. But so basically, he says, "You did what with who?" Jeez, I can't even read my own writing. 1 second, let's do this again. You did what with who? What good is a menage a trois when you have a soulmate? You risk that for Blue. So
Blue being their daughter.
Exactly, Blue being their daughter. And essentially, to me, it's an apology to Beyonce.
Wow.
And like I said, it's super intimate.
Yes.
Jay-Z doesn't, both Beyonce and Jay-Z keep their private life private. So
as she did, I think she didn't even announce that she was pregnant with the twins until she had this cover shoot or some photo shoot revealed, right?
The epic photo
shoot. That was crazy. So they keep that, which I think is wise in today's day and age, but we see that happen often. So guys, all right, music analyst resident house resident Raisa. She's also our social media editor, so does a lot with our accounts there, our platforms. Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, everything. You'll probably see a lot of her editing on a lot of our platforms. So thanks so much, Raisa, for a little analysis.
Of course.
So
happy
cool.
To be here.
All right, let's go now to another story, guys. This is about Metro. So yesterday, some of you guys probably followed this. Back to local DC kind of news. DC Metro is starting to hand out these thank you cards with a little message on them, and yeah, like a free medium coffee at McDonald's or whatever. And the question is Metro back to good, which was their hashtag that they were using, hashtag back to good. Our reporter Matt Acklin was on this story yesterday, and he put together a little package about what sort of is going on with Metro, because we've seen them fail numerous times here in DC. They're really struggling through the Safe Track kind of program that they put out in the past year. They're touting that they did 3 years worth of work in 1 year, but also it's been a real struggle for a lot of passengers, and they've gotten a lot of negative response. So, like I said, Matt Acklin had this story yesterday, put together a little package that was on last night's air. So check it out here.
Don't run the system. In fact, I just met a lady who does government relations. They're at Metro stops, and they're handing out this thank you here. So on the other side of the thank you, you get a free cup of coffee at McDonald's. But they appreciate this thank you, but it comes at the same time when, as we all know, fares are going up and there are service reductions as well. A lot of people are upset about the fares. In fact, you'll remember this. Let's take you to this graphic. Metro Rail just increased recently 10 to 25% a ride, and then Metro Bus, that went up 25 cents. That adds up for people who use Metro all the time. Constant issues with Metro remain a frustration for riders. Remember this scene just last week before Safe Track ended? A major red line delay. People going to work, people piled up outside the UDC Van Ness station. One lady even so frustrated that she decided to hitchhike. So today we asked riders, do they think that this thank you that's going out today is enough? Here's what they had to say.
The fact that the thank you comes at the same time as a price raise, it doesn't really do what they're trying to do, I think. I've only seen it go down since I've been here, but I mean sometimes things need to get worse before they get better.
If you're going to raise the fares, at least have better customer service, you know. For instance, the trains are too crowded, number one.
Prices are going up and get ridiculous.
Do you think we're anywhere closer to back to good?
No, not yet. Back to bad, I think I'd say so.
Yeah, a lot of people you can see still frustrated. We did a Twitter poll today. We want you to take a look at that. We basically asked, do you think Metro is back to good yet? 3% voted yes, 27% voted it's getting there, and then look at that, 70% voted not even close. By the way, Metro earlier today issued a statement, early in the week I should say, saying that they believe now that Safe Track is done and over with, that people are coming back to the system. They say on Tuesday there were nearly 700,000 people riding the system, and they say that was the most ridership since the beginning of 2017. But still, people who have been riding for the last couple of months have really found some frustration, especially on the red line. Tony, Marina and Sarah.
Hey, Matt, any sign of the gentleman?
All right, guys, so a little package put together by Matt Ackland about the local metro system, WMATA, here in Washington, D.C. Obviously, the poll showing that not many people are pleased. They don't think it's back to good. Now, what do you guys think? Do you guys take the metro, and what are you thinking about the progress that they've been making? I'll start my own opinion first. It's been tough. It's been really tough. I'm a big public transport lover, public transport person, always have been for many, many years. And it's been definitely a hard year for Metro. I've been caught in a lot of failing times with Metro this past year. So how about you guys? Are you avid riders? What does it mean to you?
As a person who chooses not to drive and don't have access to a car, I rely on other stuff such as the metro to get to places. So, it's ridiculous to see what's going on. In fact, when it happened to me last Friday, when the red line decided to act up, and it was constant delays. So we were sitting at the stations for 5 minutes, and then I'm going. This is from Metro Center, and I'm supposed to get at Friendship Heights. We stop at UDC, and they just kick everybody out, and they just have a flood full of people waiting there. So yeah, I'm excited. The one thing that I'm excited about is the new cars, because now they're cleaner, safer, and all that. But other than that, I'm not really sure. And I also got the coupon thing. I just went because I knew my mom is a coffee drinker, or she often drinks coffee, so I took a couple, and I remember they were also handing out the other flyer, in which I don't even fully remember what it said, but it was against Metro, saying don't drink the Kool-Aid or something like that.
Okay, yeah, Amber's referencing a flyer that Matt Ackland also presented in that package that Metro is starting to hand out. Yesterday they had many employees handing out these coupons for free, some size of free McDonald's coffee, and a written thank you note from the GM, Paul Wiedefield of Metro, to customers, sort of to kind of attract them back, sort of part of their ad programming. And she was also referencing the new train. So they've been also advertising for, I think they've even used the hashtag maybe new trains for Metro. They've been advertising for, hey, here's what the new trains provide, this, and this, these good things. So it's been a year of them sort of trying to amp up the positive, of course, and sort of take people away from this negative view of Metro. But it's definitely fallen on some hard times. People have been having tough moments riding the Metro. You were mentioning being deboarded from trains. That happens when things don't go right. There's numerous reasons why that can happen in the Metro system. Ryan, you take Metro daily, you would say, or a lot?
Yeah, I take Metro a lot, and this is just weird. I mean, as she was saying earlier, the whole incident on Friday, I mean, I had to get off at Farragut North, so I had to take a bus for 45 minutes all the way to get here. So
it's a big downtown stop, Farragut North, where all the K Street kind of law firms and lobbyist firms are, and that's a big, busy center of the city, really.
Yeah, it was like it took like 20 minutes to find a bus to get here. Another 30 minutes to get right here to where Friendships Heights is. I mean, I don't know what they're
Wow.
gonna do to fix it.
So needless to say, it's been tough, and now they're trying to come back and say, hey, we've done all this work within this small period of time. And Fox 5 is going to continue to keep up to date and report on these types of things. But what brought the news out really was yesterday. These thank you notes were being handed out as part of, I'm assuming, their budgeted sort of marketing and advertising sector of their finances and of their budget. But it's been interesting just to poll the public that actually use the public transportation, of course, and see, does that really help? How has your experience been in the past year? And I know a lot of people, it's been tough for them. So
yeah, and then also the fare's gone up. Is that one of the things?
And another portion exactly of Matt's report was that on top of all that, fare hikes are happening. And yet things aren't back to normal.
Like, in fact, I think that's what it said on that flyer, the yellow flyer, saying you just basically paid for your coffee, and that because of the high fare price.
Exactly. That's so crazy. Yeah. So all part of the story there with Metro. Just an interesting kind of talker. But thanks so much, guys, for hanging out with us. We are in the digital newsroom here at Fox 5 Live, Fox 5 DC, Washington DC local news. And it's Friday before the holiday weekend. Did you guys know there's actually more than 1 million Washington area residents who are slated to go away, travel away from home for the holiday weekend? That's a big number. It's up, apparently, according to AAA, by 62% for the DMV area. I think they contrasted it with 2009, when only 686,000 local residents opted to travel for the 4th. Now, of course, I think it also hinges on the fact that, or rather, not hinges, but is evidentiary because of the fact that 4th of July is on a Tuesday. I think that sort of helps that situation. People are taking the Monday off, taking a long weekend, but that is up a big percentage here in Washington. So the roads are going to be pretty crazy for travelers. They're saying most people are going to be driving their cars. So if you live in the area, watch out on the roads this weekend. I know that I'm also driving a little bit away from the area, so that'll be interesting to kind of see what traffic I get caught up in. There's bound to be that holiday traffic and certain peak times to avoid, of course. Early mornings, 6 to 8 a.m., and then the midday rush, 11 to 1. It's going to be tricky. So that's that in DC, guys. So we've been following more of the various big cities who've been talking about their 4th of July safety plans. We had New York on earlier. That was a long one, just outlining their safety plan for New York City, and also their security plan and their upped police presence for the holiday weekend. And it's a pretty big one up there, of course, in New York, with Times Square, as always, being a hot target. We're here in DC as well, so it's definitely something to be thinking about. All right, guys, we will bring you back shortly, back to the newsroom, take a live look at the White House for now. Hey guys, jumping back in here with some new footage. Check out this. Oh, we're just getting a wide shot now, but we are in Santa Ana, California, where there's a small plane crash on the highway. Just getting this in. It looks like hopefully the chopper is going to go back into that shot, but we will be providing more information for you guys as we have it. Again, apparently a small plane has crashed in Santa Ana, California, and we'll be efforting some more information for you guys shortly.
Open, and it looks like they're going to keep the freeway open. And we did hear that the airport itself, I'm going to get a check from my pilot to check with the control tower to see if they are allowing both departures and arrivals. But the last report, that was the case. But what a scene down below here. We'll push in again and show you it. Again, a small craft, a Cessna 310, a private plane, a 6-seat, low-wing, 2-engine aircraft, crashes here on the 405, likely just short of landing here. We do not know what caused the incident. Weather, obviously, is looked into. In fact, Bob and Marla, I was at an aviation weather conference just a couple of weeks ago, and the National Transportation Safety Board has a meteorologist that will come out and investigate the site. They'll look at all the weather data to see if that was a factor at all. I checked. Conditions, overcast, 1,600. That means the ceiling, the base of those low clouds we've been talking about, the marine layer, 1,600 feet above ground. That's plenty of space for an aircraft. And the visibility, paramount, 8 miles, which is a decent visibility. Light winds out of the south, that was not a factor. The conditions were MVFR, meaning marginal VFR. So not horrible, but not the best of VFR conditions. We're going to stay on top of this. Obviously, we have a ground crew as well. I'll toss it back to you for now. Bob and Marla, Bob. Okay. Okay. So we got confirmation from the tower, no arrivals, and I don't know where Andrew or someone gave the anchors that it's totally open. The airport is not. So we got to update that. So I will update that. The arrivals are still not allowed. No arrivals. Remember, the airport is shut down to arrivals. Right? ER. Yeah. That's what they're saying. They said they were ejected, then Anderson there's reports that they were just like being treated. I'm like, how can anybody? They hit the center divider wall. Okay. Southbound side of the 405, right at the approach to John Wayne Airport, likely runway 20 left. 2 runways here at John Wayne, and we just got confirmation from the tower. We're going to widen out. No arrivals. The airport is still officially shut down to arrivals, but open to departures. In fact, as we widen out and pan the camera to the right, you'll see a 737, an Alaskan Air, departing on runway 20 right. This is a commuter airport, and yes, Alaska serves at Southwest, Delta, American, and most of the departures, the bulk of the departures happen early in the morning, the first bank of flights, and quiets down during the midday period here, but then the arrivals start coming in. So how long they are going to keep the arriving flights from landing, that is unknown. Likely diversions, because a lot of those aircraft were already in the air. heading to SNA. That is the call sign, just like LAX for John Wayne Airport here. Coming back to the crash scene here. Again, all lanes shut down, southbound side of the 405. And we'll push into the cars that were stopped right behind the impact. We'll tilt down and push in. And look at this. People outside, they're sending out video, snapping pictures. They're not going to go anywhere for a long time. This is going to be a long-term cleanup, closure, investigation. CHB is here. Again, it is amazing. At least right now, we're hearing that no cars were impacted as a result of the crash. And it looks like he hit or maybe spun up against that right shoulder K-wall right at the edge of John Wayne Airport here. Northbound lanes are open. We have a couple closed. Carpool left. Backup is significant. If you're traveling through Irvine, South County, Costa Mesa, avoid the 405 all day if you can. The 55 freeway is being impacted as well because of the Cessna 310, 6-seat, low wing, I should say, 2-engine plane that came down here at 9:35 this morning. Reporting live from Skyfox, I'm Rick Dickert, back in the studio. It really is. I think that they feel that the fire threat is over, so they're going to try to keep traffic moving. And the first thing they'll try to do on the south side here, if they can, is maybe open up the center divider area or the left lane, but that's going to take a long time. Again, this is a crash scene that needs to be thoroughly investigated before they start pulling away pieces. So this is going to be a long-term closure. South 405, right at the approach. And again, I made the comparison with LAX, Bob and Marla. As we widen out again, I'm going to show you the 405 as you make your way past Century Boulevard there towards LAX. You see the jetliners pass right on top of you. This is even a closer approach than the 405 up to the north. You can see the 405 there. We'll pan the camera to the right. The edge of the runways here, again, 2 parallel runways, much like LAX. 20 right, 20 left, meaning 200 degrees, facing 200 degrees, which is towards the south-southwest, taking off over the ocean with that sea breeze, with that extra lift that helps aircraft climb into Newport Beach and out over the Pacific Ocean. This plane, though, this Cessna 310, this 6-seat low-wing 2-engine plane with 2 people on board, and apparently they were being treated, their condition unknown, was likely making an approach when it fell short right on the 405 freeway, bursting into flames here. OCFA still on scene here. They're going to make sure that all those hot spots have been put out. CHB is going to be directing traffic. There'll be alternatives set up for traffic through this area. Just amazing. And this stretch of the 405, Bob and Marla, is always busy. It's busy just like the 405 up by LAX. So once again, it is truly amazing that a car was not impacted severely. Now wait, let's tilt the camera up and push in north of the, back to the crash scene, but there are some automobiles off to the right shoulder on the south side of the foam there that you see. We'll tilt the camera up just a little bit there, tilt it up and push in, and we'll see some cars here. And those cars were actually past the point of impact, but they appear to be in pretty good shape. Just pulled off to the right shoulder there. Again, Orange County Fire Authority checking on everybody. We'll come back down to the south. Again, this is a fluid braking situation, and we're just seeing from above here in the first several minutes here to see if that's the case, that no other automobiles were struck. And from our vantage point, that's what it appears. We do know, confirmation from the John Wayne Control Tower, arrivals not allowed at this time. Departures, yes, they are on schedule. Call your carrier, obviously, if you're expecting someone to come in. A busy travel day in Southern California, across the entire country as we head into the long 4th of July holiday.
Hi guys, you're watching that's footage that we're taking in from Skyfox over in California. You're hearing the voice of the Skyfox reporter there talk back to his studio, but look at these close-ups here of this small plane crash, a Cessna 310. It's a small private plane down on the 405 highway. That's in Orange County in Santa Ana, California, and that's the John Wayne Airport. So a smaller airport in Santa Ana there. The news now is that, and you've seen this updated tweet here, southbound remains closed. Look at that wide shot here of the highway. The northbound reopened, and for the airport itself, it is closed to arrivals, but the departures have not been affected as of right now. But again, this small aircraft crashing right into the highway. You can see the major backup there on the highway. Apparently, according to some witnesses, the crash resulted in a big black billow of smoke over the wreckage. They obviously used foam there to put it out. You can see a little more clearly here. Look at all the cars surrounding it, people getting out, people out of their cars on the highway, snapping pictures, talking to people, getting video. We'll listen in for some more developments from the reporter.
80, but they
sounds like he is down right now. But you can see here, just debris was all over the highway before, and bystanders were seen stopping to try to help people. 2 people were taken out of the plane. We don't have a report right now on their condition, but we know that 2 people were taken out of the plane according to the California Highway Patrol traffic log. This was, again, a Cessna 310, a small private plane, crashing onto the highway, missing the airport runway, which is now closed to arrivals on this busy holiday weekend. This is the 405 freeway in California. That's what you're looking at, guys.
I don't want to assume, I want to ask. Yeah, I got you loud and clear. Okay. Okay. All right. Hey, the tower's not safe? So what if you just ask for, can we land? We would. Okay. So then the answer is, as long as, okay, perfect. Hey, Dad, no, we're trying to find that out and get that information as possible. Otherwise, we'll
All right, guys, the latest update from that airport right below my face here. The latest tweet is that arrival traffic has reopened there at the small airport there, John Wayne Airport in Santa Ana. Check out that close-up of the plane crash. There are a couple fire trucks, multiple fire trucks there on scene. It was not immediately clear if the plane crashed into any cars. We have not heard details on that, but we do know that 2 people were taken out of the plane. And again, no update on their condition right now. But you can see, check out that wide shot. People just backed up in traffic, just awaiting, getting out of their cars on the highway. The other side, the northbound lane, is open, crashing right there on the highway, the 405. This is a small aircraft, a Cessna 310. It's a small private plane that 2 people were in, and they were taken out of that after the crash, guys. A large billow of smoke when it crashed. That's what we're reading reports of. There over the wreckage, there were flames, of course, as well. And we're hearing the voice of the Sky Fox reporter who is in the chopper there getting the latest. So we'll listen in for more details from him. He knows the roadways and more of the information out there.
So they know what to avoid, right? Because I can help them get to a spot and avoid. If they come down the 405, they're not good. But actually, the backup right now is only to the 73. So they could come south on the 405, transition 73 north, 55, exit here, go to that overpass and look over that. Right up the approach of John Wayne Airport here, this very busy commuter commercial airport here, situated in Orange County near Irvine, Costa Mesa, Santa Ana. Southbound side of the 405 freeway here completely shut down. Now, the impact occurred a bit to the north of MacArthur Boulevard, just south of... Wow.
All right, guys, as we wait for more updates from the Skyfox reporter there, you're getting a big wide shot of that backup on the highway.
Here at John Wayne Airport, 2 parallel runways here, and this is the approach right over the 405 freeway here at John Wayne Airport. A very busy commuter airport here, servicing Orange County, Delta, Alaska, American Airlines, but this is a private twin-engine, smaller aircraft. It's a Cessna 310 that went down, a 6-seat aircraft, 2 people on board, both being treated at a nearby hospital, likely UC Irvine. Their condition unknown at this time. This is a low-wing, 2-engine, 6-seat aircraft, and you can see what's left of it. A big fireball, according to witnesses. It looks like it spun off the freeway, hit that right shoulder wall there, and burst into flames. At this time, we are not hearing, miraculously, that any cars on the 405, and this is a very busy stretch of the 405 through Orange County, just south of the 55 freeway here, were impacted. Now, all lanes shut down on the southbound side. Southbound side is backed up from just before the 73. The northbound side, we have the carpool and the left lane blocked, and they're going to keep those lanes open for now. What's not open is the runways for arrivals at John Wayne. This crash happened at 9:35, and they are preventing arrivals here for the time being. The length of that delay, unknown at this time. There will likely be flights diverted, possibly to Ontario, perhaps to LAX. If they're going to LAX, that will impact air traffic there as well. Remember, you need extra gates for extra aircraft that aren't scheduled, so definitely call your carrier. We're just hearing now, though, Bob and Marla, they just opened the airport again for arrivals, so they are going to let planes arrive here. Good news there. Again, the condition, believe it or not, of these 2 people, they were being treated, so they initially survived the impact, but their condition at this time is unknown. You could see the traffic down below. Just gridlock. Weather, was it a factor? Weather wasn't ideal, but it wasn't horrible at the time. It's what we call marginal VFR conditions. VFR is the best. Visual flight rules are in play. You can see beyond 10 miles, there's not much of a ceiling. MVFR conditions, weather at the time, overcast at 1,600. That means the low clouds were 1,600. The base of the strata, 1,600 feet above ground level. The visibility, 8, which isn't bad. Light south winds at 3. Bottom line, this plane, for whatever reason, came short, maybe a quarter mile of the end of the runway here. 2 parallel runways here, right off the 405, much like LAX. Again, 2 people on board, the pilot and a passenger. They survived the initial impact. At least that's what we're hearing from the Orange County Fire Authority. Still on scene here. You can see the foam that's used in an aircraft incident. And those firefighters down below there definitely trained for incidents like this. This is a short approach, short runway. These runways are a lot closer to the 405 than they are at LAX. This closure will be in effect for a long time. CHP is going to have to start allowing traffic to actually U-turn off this stretch of the 405 because they are not going to be able to disrupt this crash scene. Perhaps they'll be able to open the center divider area or the far left lane to get a single file traffic through. They'll likely close all lanes a bit north of this location after everything settles down here, but they cannot disrupt the crash scene below. It'll be a lengthy investigation with all air incidents. It's going to be the National Transportation Safety Board that will be on scene here with a meteorologist. They have their own meteorology department because weather plays a factor in a lot of incidents. This one, likely not, because weather wasn't too bad at the time. You can see traffic moving there on the northbound side, but the carpool and left lane are blocked. All lanes blocked on the southbound side. We'll tilt the camera down. You can see people just kind of standing there in a daze outside their vehicles, motorcyclists, motorists, truck drivers as well. They haven't been able to move since the impact of this crash. This Cessna 310, this 6-seat, low-wing, 2-engine plane, it came down about exactly 1 hour ago at 9:35 this morning. Bob, Marla.
All right, guys, so you hear the voice there of the Skyfox reporter reporting from the chopper of this about this small plane crash on the 405 highway in Santa Ana, California. Now, check this out. We have some really interesting video from Melissa Brown, who shared this video of the crash all happening. Check it out. Looks like she's in her car and gets this footage as she's on the ground on that side of the highway. Crazy, that billow of smoke that we were hearing about before. She gets it as she's driving down that southbound lane of the 405 highway. Go back to a full screen of what you're looking at here, guys, as they zoom in on this small plane crash. It landed right there on the highway itself. No word about if other cars were in its path, if they were other people were injured or destroyed. Any other cars were there that it crashed into? We don't know, but we do know that 2 people were taken out of this 6-seater, this small plane called the Cessna 310. That's the style of plane that we were seeing. Now, we also have another video to show you guys. Let's check back in with the reporter here.
The directional, which way the aircraft will take off. 20 means 200 degrees. Remember, 180 degrees, if you look at a compass, is due south. 200 degrees is south-southwest. It takes off the jetliners and the private planes like this Cessna 310 would take off towards the ocean, towards the Newport Beach shoreline, over the Pacific Ocean, much like the aircraft do at LAX. Now, what they will do, what the National Transportation Safety Board investigators will do, you asked, why did this plane come down? They'll start to recreate it. They'll see how much fuel was on board. They'll see if there was a mayday call, if there was an emergency situation. Sometimes it's a health-related situation. We've had aircrafts go down because of a pilot having a health issue. All of that is unknown at this time. All we know is that this Cessna 310, this 6-seat, low-wing 2-engine plane, crashed at about 9:35 this morning in the southbound lanes of the 405 freeway, right at the approach to John Wayne Airport. KSNA, as we call it. KLAX is what we call LAX, just south of the 55, just before MacArthur Boulevard. And this stretch of the 405 freeway southbound is going to be blocked for hours. And as we see, okay, go. Yep.
Check out those close-up, guys, of this small plane crash in California on the 405. You're hearing the voice of the Sky Fox reporter out there who knows the roadways. He knows what's happening, giving all those details about the crash and what exactly happened. Now, we have a little bit of video footage coming in just from bystanders and Twitter users who are tweeting out some of the video of the crash as they approached.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Check this one out.
Go ahead, Erica. The booth.
Oh my God.
So you can very clearly see that big billow of black smoke that they were referencing that happened when it crashed. That must have been so scary just to be several cars really behind where that all happened. Now, no reports right now of if or not the plane crashed into any cars, but we know that everything is just backed up. You can see, looks like cars are just squeezing by along that left side. They're apparently allowing them to at least make a little bit of movement there on that southbound side of the highway, which was completely closed before. The northbound side still going on. Quite scary situation there in Santa Ana. That's in Orange County, California. We're going to listen in for some more updates from the reporter out there, guys, and I'll be finding some more relevant social media tweets and whatnot to bring you more information.
They just opened one lane of. just trying to say that they saw that one lane was open. That was the M&M show there. We are able to land at John for that. We can 20, 40, we have an hour plus if they need us to stay up, but then we wouldn't be up at the top of the moon. So they need to figure out, like now, the desk, how they want us to play this.
Hi guys, if you're just joining us on Facebook or YouTube, you're looking at a live picture here of a small plane crash on the 405, a major highway, major freeway in California. Check out that close up there. There's the small plane, the Cessna 310 that crashed on the southbound side of the highway. Now the audio is kind of in and out because we're sort of jumping in here when the reporter who's in the Skyfox chopper is in and out of his reports back to the studio. But this is, again, in California. This is along the 405. It's a major freeway that goes all the way from Laguna Beach to northern LA, where like Burbank and San Fernando Valley is. And it's right next to, this crash happened right next to the John Wayne Airport in Santa Ana. It's where a lot of private planes fly in and out, and it also has plenty of commercial flights as well. Now, if air traffic is being thrown off here at this smaller airport, it could throw off traffic at LAX, of course, the major airport in LA, causing a lot of havoc with air traffic there. And on this busy holiday weekend, that is a major concern. So we've been looking at that. It could cause lots of headaches at a lot of other major airports and connecting airports and flights as well. So you guys can imagine traffic is already horrendous in Los Angeles. Maybe some of you guys are watching from there. If you are, give us a shout. Let us know where you're watching from. We are monitoring the situation as long as we have this chopper free, but you can see a lot of first responders, fire trucks there, the foam surrounding that crash. There was a large black billow of smoke, according to witnesses, when this crash occurred in the 9 o'clock hour, 9 a.m. hour of California time, Pacific time out there. Now, this is all happening as we speak, so we're getting in this footage. It's live and raw and unedited, so that's what you guys are watching, and it will be punctuated here and there by the Skyfox reporter there. There's a really good close-up. Check it out, guys.
Yeah, so essentially he had an emergency on board. He knew something was wrong if he's calling for a mayday. Whether it was an engine failure, it's just too hard to say at this time. But what we do know is that the pilot was conscious and he wasn't having a health issue, so that was not the case. But he definitely saw an emergency on board and was trying to direct ATC to clear that runway for him. And unfortunately, he came maybe a quarter mile short of the runway and ended up making impact on the southbound side of the 405. All right, I just, you can see the tail number there, right? There, Bob and Marla. N, which means North America. And what we can do is we can look to see who owns this aircraft, perhaps where it was coming from. Built in 1975, that's what I'm getting right now. Owned by Twin Props. Twin Props is the owner of the aircraft. So we're going to try to determine exactly where it was coming from. Twin Props is based in Santa Ana, so likely here at John Wayne Airport. Again, I'm just getting this information off my iPad at this time. N87297, that is the aircraft registration. N meaning it's licensed, registered out of North America. 1975 Cessna 310, as we mentioned, a 6-seat low-wing 2-engine aircraft. Twin Props is the owner, and they are based in Santa Ana. Now, let's see if there was a flight. Go ahead, Marlon. Yeah, I'm here. I couldn't hear anything there at all. I wasn't. Then there we go. He obviously was down an engine and was trying to make a landing. Typically, just depending upon the emergency, if you have one engine and you have enough glide, you should be able to make it back. But again, there could be some other factors there that contributed to him falling short. Now, whether or not he had just taken off, we're still trying to find out. I'm still trying to get a flight plan using the registration on the aircraft here. But according to Flight Aware, it is based here at Santa Ana, at John Wayne, owned by Twin Props.
All right, guys, if you're just joining us, check out this scene. Look at that wide angle of a small plane crash, a private plane, a Cessna 310 on the highway here on the 405 in Santa Ana, California. Now, Jeff, I'm seeing your comment, and Dolores as well. Thanks for watching. We were hearing that 2 people occupied the plane, and both of them did get out. Unclear as to what their condition is right now, but we know that the pilot was conscious when the responders got to him. So there's the scene right there, the southbound side all backed up. Looks like they're letting that one lane, that left lane of traffic go. And you're hearing this punctuated by the Sky Fox reporter who's giving a lot more information about what's going on the scene. If you need a little bit of a close landmark to where this all is, Disneyland in Anaheim is about 15, 20 minutes away as a landmark kind of base to where this all is. This is right next to the runways at John Wayne Airport in Santa Ana, California. Let's see what else we can get here.
Setting up the plane. Yeah, go ahead here. Okay. Okay.
And guys, according to reports that we were just hearing over the airways here from the Sky Fox report, the pilot did call for Mayday, so he knew that he was down an engine, apparently, according to the report of what they're finding about this small aircraft that has just crashed on the 405 freeway in Santa Ana, California. Now, it sounds like he knew something was going on, tried to make it to this runway that is right next door to the highway here, and did not quite make it, crashed with one engine down onto the highway. And you can see just tons of bystanders, people getting out of their cars, watching this billow of smoke. We caught some video from a Twitter user who sent this, check it out here, in the moment of as they approached the crash. You can imagine being on that highway in the series of cars there, just waiting around in typical fashion in LA traffic, and then you see this black billow of smoke. This is from @RafiMama, who provided us this video of the crash as they approached the highway there. So just another picture of sort of what went down in the moment. There's another close-up of this small aircraft. He was saying that the N on the wing there, on the tail, means that it was bought in North America, so that designates the plane as such. And you can see the damage there and the smoke damage. Lots of foam surrounding it. Just some crazy close-ups here. A lot of firemen on hand, multiple fire trucks there at the scene on the 405 freeway. Yeah, Paula, you're asking which freeway. It is the 405, a major freeway that goes all the way down the coast there, Laguna Beach, all the way up to Burbank area in California.
And as we look at the scene down below here on the South 405, again, it's the South 405 between the 55 on the north, MacArthur Boulevard on the south, right at the edge of runway 20 right here at John Wayne. Once that Mayday was called, the air traffic controllers clear everything out, bring out all the emergency apparatus to be standing by. Unfortunately, the plane didn't make it onto the airfield and fell short. Now, the way that the aircraft is facing, that may just be due to the fact that it made impact with that concrete, that K-wall off to the right shoulder there, and then spun around. I doubt that it made an approach on the 405 to try to land, but we've seen that happen. If that was the case and it was coming directly towards trying to make an approach landing on runway 20 right, then it likely came in at a pretty good clip. Now, one engine out, another engine good. Most situations, and again, every situation is unique, you can get an aircraft down if you still have that one engine. This is a twin engine, and the one engine, we heard the Mayday call from that pilot, from this Cessna 310. Based out of John Wayne Airport, twin props. I looked at the flight planning for this aircraft. All I was able to pull up was a flight yesterday. It took off from John Wayne Airport here yesterday at 2:48 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time and landed back here at 4:36. It made a loop towards the Coachella Valley, towards Thermal and Palm Springs. This could be a training aircraft that's based here. That is a possibility. We are looking into that right now, and what we're seeing now is firefighters still putting more foam on the crash scene down below. Now, how bad it looked right after the impact, this looks obviously really horrible, the situation that we're seeing now. But the bulk of the fire, that may have occurred after the impact. So that's a possibility. That's why there's a possibility that that pilot and the passenger were able to get out on their own. Again, we just don't know if that's the case or not. All we know is that initially they did survive the impact. They're being treated at a nearby hospital, likely UC Irvine. And we know that the 405 freeway here, we have one lane open, southbound side of the 405 freeway here. We have the carpool lane open, so they're letting traffic through. I just saw an aircraft land here, so the airport is open for landings and for takeoffs. Back to you.
So as you can see here, guys, more details trickling in as time progresses about this plane crash. Again, if you're just joining us on Facebook or YouTube, this is a small private plane, a Cessna 310 model here that crashed into the 405 freeway in Santa Ana, California, part of Orange County there. And finding out more details, as the reporter was saying, 2 people were taken out of the aircraft. They are being treated right now. That's all we know right now about their status. And they were able to look up the flight plan of this particular plane, and all they found out was that the plane did take off from the nearby airport here, the John Wayne Airport in Santa Ana, yesterday in the afternoon. So that's all they know about the plan from the aircraft there. We'll kind of await more information as he efforts that. But look at that. You can see the one lane open on the southbound side as they are just letting cars through one at a time. Just a crazy backup on an already very, very traffic-ridden highway there in California. Some of you might know if you are from California, or maybe just know more details about it. It is a major freeway, and people could be stuck for hours in that backup. So that's what's going on there. Check out that close-up of the wreck. Firemen still there on hand, hosing it off, foaming it off, and it's right there, sitting on the highway.
All right. Are we staying on after 11, do we know? Okay. All right. Yeah, this only able to pull up.
So guys, another big question here is, how does this throw off traffic at this particular airport? It is an airport that mostly services private planes, but there are some commercial flights that go in and out of it. Again, the John Wayne Airport in Santa Ana, they were keeping updates on their Twitter. At first, all arrivals were prohibited and departures were still going on, but then that changed, and now it is normal as of status. But the question also is, This airport serves other larger airports, including LAX, and it being the holiday weekend, how will that affect major travel and traffic, air traffic in the area airport? So that's the question now. And also, of course, tracking the 2 individuals that were in this aircraft, praying that they are okay. We do know that 2 people were taken out and are being treated. This is a 6-person small aircraft, a small private plane called the Cessna 310, crashing on the 405 freeway in California there. So we'll continue to monitor this, guys, as long as we have this feed. And you can see sort of the close-ups here of the aircraft itself, and then when it gets wider, what the backup, the havoc that it's causing there on the 405 freeway.
Who did? The anchors were? Oh.
Guys, another picture of the scene here of the black billowing smoke caught by a bystander who sent this and allowed us to use his footage. Just a short video there, but you can see the black smoke from the plane that people were describing after this small aircraft that you see right there crashed onto the 405 highway. We know that 2 people were taken out and are being treated at a nearby hospital. And now 1 lane is open, that carpool lane on the left side of the southbound 405. There are lots of fire trucks surrounding it. They still effort the cleanup here, and more details kind of trickling in on what exactly happened here. We do know that a mayday was called. Apparently the pilot did know that something was failing. We're hearing that one of his engines was failing, tried to make it to the runway, and ended up crashing here on the highway.
CBS is on simultaneous, and when they start referencing runways and stuff, we're trying to help them as much as well. So that's the reason why we are moving. We gotta do what we can for them as well. Sorry. Oh no, the booth keeps telling us. I mean, and then there, and again, there's the story is the traffic too, and I mean, there's a bigger story than just a picture right there.
Guys, if you're just joining us, we continue with this aerial footage of the small plane crash in Santa Ana, California. You can see they're still efforting this scene. Lots of first responders and fire trucks here on the scene. Looking at some of your comments here, we know that 2 people were in the plane and 2 people were removed from the plane, are apparently being treated. The pilot called for a mayday, knew something was wrong, and was aiming for, of course, the runway or some type of way to come to safety here, and ended up crashing into the highway here, the 405, the major freeway in Orange County here. All that goes from Laguna Beach all the way up to the Burbank area. Now we have a couple viewers who were able to get some footage of this scene as it happened. Check out this other one, caption and all, this Instagram account in the moment, plane crash on the 405 next to John Wayne near his work. Apparently it's a quick video, but a little bit of a in the moment look at what happened. We're seeing a lot of people tweet this out. They caught that black billowing smoke come up from that aircraft in the moment. You can see here now the wide shot. Check out that backed up traffic on the southbound side, southbound lanes there. Northbound continued to stay open. It continued as normal with traffic. But again, this could cause a huge backup, especially for hours on this Friday before the holiday weekend there on the highway, on the freeway in California. We're going to continue to listen for updates from the Sky Fox reporter who is there in the chopper, getting more details on the plane, on the passengers, on the pilots, and what really went down during this crash.
One of the lane is open traffic-wise, first of all, because this is impacting a lot of commuters heading southbound on the 405 freeway. Northbound as well, but the majority of the northbound side of the 405 freeway here, right at the approach of John Wayne Airport. Those lanes are open. Single file, though, just the far left lane open. As we push into the crash scene here, they're still putting more foam on the aircraft here. This Cessna 310, this low-wing twin-engine aircraft that went down at 9:35 this morning. Now we are seeing arrivals. I just saw an Alaska 737 land here on runway 20 right, and it appears that he was trying to make a landing on that very runway when he came short. Now, 2-engine aircraft, usually an aircraft like that with 1 engine, you can make it back, but we don't know what was going on inside the cockpit there. We're going to leave that to the investigators. They're going to check on the engines, obviously. They're going to check on fuel. They'll look at all the apparatus down below to see what may have caused this crash. We know that the pilot was alert. We know that this aircraft is registered here in Orange County in Santa Ana. We also know that a flight plan was filed and completed for this aircraft yesterday between here, John Wayne Airport, and Thermal out near Palm Springs in the Coachella Valley. No flight plan that I can find was found today. You don't have to file a flight plan. If this aircraft, and again, pure speculation, if it's used for training and they were just doing pattern runs, meaning they were doing takeoffs, maybe a loop over the ocean, coming back in, you don't necessarily have to file a flight plan for that. That may have been the case, or we're just unable to find it at this time. Obviously, still a fluid situation, and we're going to have that information before the end of the day. We know that fire crews are going to remain on scene here, investigators as well. As of right now, it doesn't look like they're holding traffic north of this location on the 405, meaning it looks like they're going to try to keep at least one lane open. At times when we have situations like this on the freeway, they'll open up one lane just to let all that traffic that was held up after that incident, they'll let that go, and then they'll shut down all lanes so that they can keep emergency crews here and investigators. At this time, doesn't appear that's the case, but we'll keep an eye on it from up here. The northbound lanes, the side running from the upper left corner to the bottom of your screen there, still have the carpool and left lane block. Back up only about a mile, mile and a half. Southbound side, believe it or not, traffic starting to recover a bit as well, and the backup starts just past the 73. That's the extension of the toll road that runs into Newport Beach and towards Laguna Hills. Southbound side of the 55 is open. You can make your way south past the 405 down towards Newport Beach, and it looks like the transition roads from the north 405 to the north 55 still open as well. Again, 2 people on board. This aircraft went down at 9:35 this morning, a Cessna 310, again, 6-seater, 2 people on board. We know the pilot and a passenger, a low-wing 2-engine aircraft, making that Mayday call. Call you just don't want to hear. And air traffic control, once they get that, they do everything they can to clear the runway, alert emergency crews. And you heard that caller say that there's a nearby fire station. Airports like John Wayne, KSNA is the call sign, just like KLAX. For LAX, which has an approach on the 405 as well. They have fire apparatus right on the airfield. Van Nuys Airport does as well. We see them roll out a lot. That's where Skyfox HD is based. If there's ever a call, an emergency call, a possibility of an incident, we see that apparatus roll out. That's why those first responders were so quick to get here. Fortunately, the aircraft made it just short of the airfield, landing on the freeway. But miraculously, again, we are still not hearing any reports that automobiles were struck, and it's unlikely, based on what was happening, the Mayday call, the urgency of this pilot trying to make that landing with one engine down, that he was looking to avoid cars. He was trying to do whatever he could to get to the end of that runway and make a safe emergency landing. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. The condition of the pilot and the passenger unknown. Again, a major emergency scene down below here, right between the 55 freeway on the north and MacArthur Boulevard on the south, at the approach of runway 20 right and 20 left. And again, those numbers, Bob and Marla, mean directional numbers on a compass, 200 degrees. 180 degrees due south, 200 degrees is a bit to the south-southwest. This airfield is situated much like LAX, so aircraft can take off into the prevailing direction of the wind to get that extra lift that aircraft need to take off out of the Pacific Ocean, in this case, Newport Beach, not Westchester and El Segundo like LAX. That's absolutely right. If there was a bird strike, the pilot would have felt it, would have known it. And, we hope and pray that the pilot and the passenger will survive. And if they do, they're going to be investigated. That is part of the investigation by the NTSB. They will interview the pilot. They will check all of the gauges that are still intact, that can be checked. They will look at the flight log. They will check the ATC reports. And they'll check the weather as well. Was weather a factor? Well, now we know that it was an engine failure. The weather wasn't ideal, but it certainly was good enough. The visibility was solid. It was 8 miles, so easily the pilot could see the runway there of 20 right. Conditions were M or marginal VFR. VFR, visual flight rules, are the best conditions, but There was a ceiling overcast at 1600, but he was at an altitude coming in where he could clearly see the runway. An 8-mile visibility would allow him to see from the end of the runway where he made impact all the way towards the shoreline.
Hi guys, if you're just joining us on the stream on YouTube or Facebook, thanks for joining. You're looking now at a wide shot of the 405 freeway in Santa Ana, California in Orange County. A small plane, a Cessna 310, that's the style of the plane, has crashed on the highway there. This happened about 9:35 Pacific time in the morning. And what we know now is that 2 people were on board this small aircraft. They've since been taken out and taken to the hospital, and we don't know their status right now, but of course we pray that they're okay. But just for further detail, you'll be getting some live cut-ins from the Sky Fox reporter there who has more of the information about what's going on. But you can see there, even from this angle here, the wide shot, the foam surrounding that small aircraft, and I believe responders are still applying foam to this aircraft that crashed right near the John Wayne Airport. That's a small airport that mostly services private planes, but some commercial flights as well go in and out of that airport. It was likely that the pilot was aiming for that runway, of course.
Freeway in San Diego, one of the more popular destination routes, and a lot of people heading southbound on the 405 at the time of this incident. And just listening and seeing all the multiple reports for all those people that had a clear view of this happening, that there was a fireball as a result of the crash. You could see down below here that the foam was laid down. That is a firefighting tool there. That foam, which essentially cools the fire, cools the fluid that's burning there, and helps in being able to extinguish that. You can see still single file on the southbound side of the 405. Again, it's unclear if they're just letting all that traffic that was backed up, that was stopped immediately after that incident through, and then they'll close the entire freeway. We're still not hearing that from CHP. You can see they are setting up essentially a command post on the freeway. You see the easy up there. Fire crews will remain on scene here. The investigation will start. Fire, police, airport authorities, CHP, all involved. This is a multi-agency emergency here at John Wayne Airport, a very busy commuter airport. It was a small twin-engine Cessna 310, a low-wing aircraft, a piston aircraft there that seats 6. We know that 2 were on board, and the pilot made that mayday call that he had lost his right engine. Left engine, it could have still been operational. If that's the case, he didn't have enough lift. He was complaining about that, trying to gain altitude. We heard that on his call to ATC, the air traffic control at John Wayne Airport, alerting them of the emergency. Once those air traffic controllers, Bob and Marlo, receive that call, they have protocol. They clear the runway. They call out that apparatus immediately. They see that aircraft on their radar as well, within the Bravo, essentially, within the airspace of John Wayne Airport. KSNA here in Irvine and Newport Beach, a very busy airport. But again, it is open to both departures and arrivals at this time. There may have been a couple of diversions because they were not allowing planes to land for some time. Those diversions may have went to Ontario or LAX. So if you're expecting someone in, make sure you call. Now I want to show you the backup as we pull out from the crash scene. We're going to tilt the camera up. This is the northbound side. That's MacArthur Boulevard, that overpass there on the south side of the field. We'll continue to tilt the camera up. It's backed up only about 1.5 miles. There you go. That's where the backup starts on the northbound side. And on the southbound side, I can see it. The backup starts just past the 73. As of right now, on both sides, the delay probably only about 20 minutes, believe it or not. Now, whether or not they're going to shut down all southbound lanes of the 405, again, I keep repeating that because a lot of times what they do is they just let all that traffic that was backed up in an incident go through, single file. But now I'm seeing, as we go back to the crash scene, they're holding all traffic again, and they will do that from time to time to allow positioning of emergency crews, people coming to investigate the scene down below here. safety first. We're going to get these motors out of there as quickly and efficiently as they can. But as of right now, as you can see, they are holding that northbound lane, that single file lane, that carpool lane that's open right on the edge of the runway. Let me widen out and show you one more time how close that runway is. The approach, runway 20 right here at John Wayne. 20 mean 200 degrees. Here comes a 737, a Southwest inbound right on top. Look at that shot right there, Bob and Marlo. You can see the shadow of that 737 making the landing there. That's how close he came to the edge of the runway, but he made impact. A fireball ensued at some point, and traffic was stopped. But once again, just amazing. At least right now, we are not hearing that there was any significant impact with that aircraft. That Cessna 310, that low wing, 2-engine, 6-seater, when it hit the 405, making any impact with any of the automobiles.
So more details there coming in from the Skyfox reporter there. You caught that. If you caught that live shot of the Southwest plane 737 coming in, that
what are
was
we doing?
wild to see just how they do come in to that runway. Again, a commercial flight there, a Southwest flight. This one, a private plane, a Cessna 310, crashing onto the 405 freeway there. Our sister station in LA, Fox 11, has reported that 2 people in the aircraft were a man and a woman said to be in their 50s and 60s for age. They're being treated right now for minor injuries, or for major injuries rather, at a local nearby hospital. We don't know quite their condition right now. The pilot did call for Mayday in the final seconds before impact, saying that he could not make it back to the airport seconds before the crash. Not sure which one of them, the male or female, was the pilot actually in that case. But again, you're looking right now at, there's a close-up of the damaged plane there on the highway, on the freeway, as they call it, in California. And we're listening in for more updates from Skyfox there, who has stayed over the scene for quite some time now. And you can see as they back up, more of the backup on the highway, flowing not so much better. Still major backup on that southbound side of the 405 in Santa Ana. So if you're just joining us here on Facebook or YouTube, that is what you're looking at here, guys.
Looking for a volunteer. Need an
I don't know, we got to see if anybody's in front of us. They're not the fastest here. I mean, we should be up for the top of the noon, so. Yeah, I'm seeing that video all over social media. Like, have we not shown it yet still?
So guys, looks like the chopper is backing up a little bit from the site of this crash, but just for a little more detail here, this twin-engine Cessna 310 was about 1,000 feet from the runway at John Wayne Airport when it crashed. It made impact. We're just seeing reports now that it did just barely make impact and clipped a vehicle there as well. Looks like we just lost that chopper feed. Oh, it might be back in again. Let's bring it back. Here we go. Just barely clipped a vehicle, the driver of which only suffered a bruised elbow. That's what we're hearing reports of right now. So thank God it wasn't worse than it was, but we are keeping in mind the 2 people who were aboard the plane, the pilot and one other person who were transported to a local hospital. It may be that we, this is more of a feed now. Looks like we have more of a ground shot. So we'll be providing updates as we have them, guys, of what's going on here. Different shot of the plane still there on the highway there. It missed the runway, of course, what it was aiming for, John Wayne Airport in Santa Ana, California. For context, guys, this is about 15 to 20 minutes away from Disneyland, if you guys are familiar. And we do know that the pilot knew something was wrong. He, amidst shouts of Mayday, air traffic control, of course, doing everything they could to, upon hearing that, to effort them in a safe landing. But he apparently was not able to make it, made impact on the freeway and crashed. Traffic, of course, backed up still, may even be so for hours. And the question is also how this will impact flights out of this smaller airport and LAX, the large airport, on this holiday weekend. We'll continue to have coverage of this as long as we have a feed. There's more of a close-up, another Southwest commercial flight coming in to that small airport.
Especially for private pilots, and the safetyness and the safety factor of this plane is certainly going to be taken into account in terms of the investigation and as to what exactly happened. Obviously, the pilot recognizing an engine failure and then turning around trying to get help and land back at John Wayne Airport. But also, these planes are supposed to be able to function to some capacity when there is a engine failure on these double engine planes. So what kind of capacity at this point, we're unclear as to how much control the pilot had, if at all, if any. So it's certainly going to be a factor that aviation officials are going to look at, especially investigators looking into this crash. But should one of the engines fail in this twin engine type plane, there are safety mechanisms, we understand, in the Cessna 310. So that is something that they're obviously going to have to break down as they look further into the cause of this crash as to the failure that happened here this morning. But obviously the pilot recognizing there was a problem. We understand that some eyewitness accounts and people obviously looking at what's happening from office buildings in and around the airport as well as on the freeway, reporting that they did see this plane having trouble in the air. They said some reports saying that it looked wobbly at times, others saying that it was dipping low clearly, and the pilot looking like the plane was somehow in trouble. So there were some warning signs visible to just laymen and people in the area seeing what was going on around this airport, seeing that plane take off and then having some trouble as the pilot was indicating the failure of that right engine. So even to the person just driving on the 405, perhaps seeing this plane kind of shaky, kind of coming down. Perhaps, hopefully, a lot of those drivers were able to slow down, and we understand that there were no injuries on the 405, on the freeway, which is a definite good sign and testament perhaps to the pilot as well, and to obviously all the drivers recognizing there's a problem in the sky. But clearly you can see from our vantage point here on the ground just how close that plane was to the runway, and perhaps obviously avoiding this kind of situation if in fact that plane was able just to make it to the runway. But clearly a big backup here, a big mess, and we are very thankful that the two people on board, one pilot, one passenger, they are okay. They're not, they were transported to the hospital. Irvine police just telling a lot of people stopping, getting out of their cars, looking at this accident here in and around the airport, in this area, trying to urge people to stay safe, obviously, away from the sidewalks, to be safe in their cars and not slow down. We have seen a lot of traffic accidents because people are actually looking at this accident. So if you're driving in this area, if you're coming to this area, be smart and be safe on the road, as well as if you're a pedestrian, because this is causing a lot of commotion, not just obviously to the parties involved in the crash, but everyone around here affected by it, and just not ever seeing a plane on the freeway is obviously a big deal for a lot of people here. So we are obviously following directions, listening to authorities here, and this is the best vantage point we could show you right now of this crash that happened again at 9:36 this morning.
Hi guys, if you're joining us on Facebook, yeah, Brandon, you're right. This is the 405 in Orange County is what you're looking at. And look at this. This is more of a very clear, actually, picture, a ground shot. Earlier we had the Skyfox chopper up giving us aerials of the crash. Also a very interesting view to kind of see that wider shot of the traffic that it has impacted. But you can see here now, closer up, this one left-hand lane that is open. They're letting people by. This backed up traffic here on the southbound side of the 405 freeway in Santa Ana, California, in Orange County. So we're hearing more details. Of course, if you're just joining us, to reiterate here, a male and a female were in the plane that called for Mayday, could not make it to the runway. They apparently clipped one vehicle on the highway. Apparently it was minimal damage to that vehicle and no further injuries than a bruised elbow for the person inside that car. But two people, again, a male and a female, reported to be in their 50s or 60s, have been transported to an area hospital as a result of this impact, this crash on the highway. So pretty scary stuff there happening on this Friday before the holiday weekend. A lot of concern, of course, about flight traffic and how this will impact everything with travel. But also we send up prayers, of course, for the two people inside that plane. Hopefully they make it out okay and everything is all right. You can see still crews, emergency crews on the scene, firefighters, other responders still pretty much working on that the skeletal remains really of that plane, that small aircraft, very much damaged on the front side there. And as the reporter was telling us earlier, they'll do a full report on this later and talk to, hopefully if everything turns out okay, they'll talk to the two people inside the aircraft to talk about what went on in there. Is a bird strike a possibility? Maybe. Is other parts to do with the engine failure a possibility? All stuff that could have caused this crash on the 405 in Santa Ana. So we continue to watch this feed, guys. Now more of a ground shot of the traffic and a pretty clear angle, clear shot of this crash, this small plane crash in California. If we find out more details, we'll bring them to you guys. You're watching Fox 5 Live, coming at you from Fox 5 DC local news in Washington, and we'll be back with you guys shortly. If you saw right there, you can see the larger plane heading in towards the runway there at John Wayne Airport in Santa Ana. This airport open to private planes and commercial planes as well, and you can kind of see the direction that this small private plane that did crash on the highway was headed. Now, again, they'll do more of an investigation as to what happened, what really caused this crash, but you can see, obviously, arrivals are still happening. They closed it off to arrivals, of course, surrounding the moments of impact of the crash, but arrivals then were later resumed and departures continued as well from this airport. So things slowly getting back to normal, but still you see the remnants of this small plane as they work on that, and that one lane of traffic still the only one for these southbound travelers on the 405. Probably lots of people, as always, tons of traffic in LA, but lots of people leaving for the holiday weekend, driving away. It's a Friday. Pretty tough time to have to deal with this traffic-wise. So a large impact, a very big impact on a lot of residents and commuters in this city, probably even more so than usual.
Dual engine, so fairly both sides. They have the white know a bunch of pilots that come here and they're always like, yeah, most of them are just got the but I do know a few airports that yeah, they go through the simulator. They do at 50 hours. General aviation. I can hear you. They simulator. Basically, what you do is you do 60 hours. So he's a dual engine, so he's at about 100 hours. So it's most likely that engine failure is not a pilot error. But you do have to get 60 hours. No. They do have a lot of training. No, it's every 2 years. They have to do that because they go for safety checks.
How many general aviation planes are out of here usually? Like ratio-wise, commercial.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Hi. Yeah, as you can see the ground shot from our vantage point right here, we're on the overpass over the 405 south and northbound lanes, as you can see, but you can clearly see that dual engine plane where it crash landed this morning. And I'm here with the airport's photographer, one of several, and you are also a trained pilot. There's a lot of general aviation pilots trained and fly out of here. So when you see this and what exactly happened here, you're certified on a similar type of plane, dual engine. Alex, tell me what goes through your mind and what you think that pilot was encountering.
Well, I think he was morally wondering how he could get back to the airport as soon as possible, because with a dual engine, you're really limited to how far you can glide. You really have a glide slope, and if you're out of that glide slope, you're not probably going to make it to the runway.
Any dual engine plane like this has the capacity, a safety mechanism that kicks in that allows you to operate it on just one single engine. So do you think he was trying to safely land on that runway? What do you think went wrong?
Yeah, well, dual engine planes are able to land with one engine, that's correct, but when you have a dual engine failure, that's kind of when it gets more tricky, as it's just much harder. You start losing altitude really quickly, and you're just unable to get back up in the air.
You have a lot of knowledge about this airport. You work here, you take pictures. You were here when Harrison Ford takes off and lands here, and for that accident as well. Tell me about the perception and I guess the percentage of commercial versus general aviation pilots, because we understand that this pilot obviously is not a commercial.
Yeah, well, at John Wayne here, it's a much locally airport. LA's the bigger airport of the two. This is meant for more like little routes, but there is quite a lot. There's about 100-ish flights a day, maybe like a little bit more. But you do have a very strong presence of general aviation. I've seen lineups of 20 to 30 planes before, just waiting to take off. It's also flight training is a lot here. So, yeah.
All right, thank you so much. I'll let you get back to work. I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, guys, so if you're watching here on YouTube, thanks for joining us, guys. We've been having this continued coverage of this plane crash at this right outside, right next to the John Wayne Airport in Santa Ana, and you can see there the ground shot a little closer view of the damage of that small aircraft. Now, a lot of you guys were mentioning Harrison Ford, and I understand why now, of course. I mean, I knew about his crashes, but I wasn't putting it together. This did happen in February of this year. He had a near miss when he almost crashed his single-engine private plane into a larger plane, and that was also at this airport here. He was instructed to land on the runway there at John Wayne Airport, but mistakenly aimed for the taxiway, had a near miss, and then, of course, was involved in a much more dangerous, more serious crash in 2015. So people referencing Harrison Ford totally makes sense, because similar kind of situation here, same airport. But again, not a lot of new information here. If you're just joining us, small private plane crash on the 405 freeway in California, and we've been witnessing sort of this scene here, larger shot of that. Lots of people getting out and taking pictures. One lane of traffic is open on that side, that southbound side of the freeway. Now, if you are interested in following this story a little bit more as we get more details, don't forget to check out our web story on our website and on our Facebook, Fox 5 DC. We'll have updated information on what's going on as we update the story for what they find out from the pilots, if they're able to get in touch with them. We're hearing it with a male and a female in the plane who were transported to the hospital. So that's what we know. We also hope that they're okay, but we're continuing to get some reports from the ground there. Looks like nothing else going on right now, but they're sending some live shots back to the studio. So with that, guys, we're going to bring it back into our studio, and we want to thank you so much for joining us on our stream here today on Fox 5 Live. We're here every day, weekdays from 11 a.m. Eastern Time to 2 p.m. out of the Fox 5 DC, Washington, D.C. newsroom, and I'm Molly Nevola, your host. Happy to bring you guys all our sources, our live breaking news events. And again, if you want to continue to follow the story on the plane crash, please do check out our website, our web story, which will be continually updated on this small crash. We hope that everything is okay there, and we'll continue to watch that. So guys, have a great 4th of July weekend. We're going to be back on Wednesday, the day after, on July 5th at 11 a.m. as usual, for more Fox 5 Live events, breaking news, trending topics, whatever we got going on for the day. And we'll see you then, guys. Have a very safe and happy 4th of July weekend if you celebrate it here in the USA. If not, thanks for watching from wherever else you guys are, and we'll see you next week. Gonna leave you with a live shot of our Capitol Dome on this gorgeous summer day in Washington, guys. Have a great one.